What's up, everybody? Good morning. Happy Tuesday. DK Show coming to you from that TDS Sports Talk studios this morning. Appreciate you tuning in. If it's on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online to stream up at sportstalk1051.com. You've got your Google Alexa devices, the YouTube stream up and rolling on Man Cave TV as well this morning, but a very happy Tuesday to all of you. If you are up and at it this morning, what do we have on our game plan? What are we going to be hitting up for the next few hours here? Well, we'll talk some Bucks. Giannis, the Greek Freak, returned last night. All things good, right? No Jaylen Brown playing for the Celtics. Maybe the Bucks can get that victory. Yeah, no. Bucks still get dominated, 108 to 81. One of the best defenses in the entire association, the Boston Celtics, limiting. Just it was, you could tell kind of like right away. It was another frustrating night. I don't quite get the rotations or what was kind of the plan from Doc Rivers last night. It felt like it was all over the place. Just kind of felt like it was organized chaos. Giannis, led the way. 19 points, 11 rebounds, double-double for him. Jang had 13. We had Bobby Portis with 12, but Kevin Porter Jr. just 8 points. Ryan Rollins just 5 points. It was not another good night. 3 losses in a row now for the Milwaukee Bucks. After going 8-2 in their last 10, they have now dropped 3 in a row. As Bobby Portis said after the game last night, fool's gold. Kind of looking at, or kind of thinking maybe during that stretch when they were winning in that, kind of calling it fool's gold. So I think a lot of people probably would agree with maybe what Bobby had to say. The full quote from, let me see if I can bring it up here from Bobby here quick. This was from Bobby Portis last night. Just playing better teams, kind of fool's gold for real. Rolling 8 out of 10, playing against bottom teams that's trying to lose for real, right? Playing against some teams that are jockeying for position. We used to be in that position too, jockeying for position. You got certain games on your schedule that you can't lose. Guys are circling us, and we are the can't lose team. So they're coming in and trying to win that game, and that's a must-win game for them. Can't drop it. That's how they're looking at us, right? So credit the other teams for locking in and getting a dub. But on our side, we got to look at it as the hungry team, the team that's hunting them now. Crazy how fast time and things can change and shift, but so much season left, right? We got 5.5, 6 weeks to fix it, and I think we will. But right now, Bucks are 3.5 games out from that final playoff spot. Kyle Kuzma didn't play last night. Doc Rivers saying it was a coaching decision too, that Kyle Kuzma did not play in last night's game. So we'll go through some of the comments from Giannis after the game last night, too, in his return from injury, a long extended absence from the Greek Freak. What did he have to say about his return? So we'll talk some Bucks, talk some hoops coming up here in just a skosh. So we got that on the docket. Speaking of being back, the Brewers, they're going to be taking on Team Great Britain. As we get set for the World Baseball Classic and such. The Brewers will be going up against them. Brewers, they've got, I think, was it a dozen teams, or a dozen players that are going to be not with them here, as they're going to be participating for their countries in the World Baseball Classic. So maybe seeing some of more of the younger prospects coming up here for the Brew Crew and such in the coming games and that. But they'll be back maybe to a normal-ish spring training schedule starting tomorrow when they take on the Chicago Cubs. But we'll throw some Brewers chat in here. We've got Badger chat with Mr. RJ coming up in a couple hours from now, just past the 8 o'clock hour. We'll talk some hoops with RJ. with the just the final week of the regular season upon us. The Badgers will be back in action tomorrow. Final game at the Kohl Center for this season. We'll hit that up, talk about that, take a look at their matchup this weekend against Purdue, a Purdue team that fell 7 spots in the latest rankings that came out yesterday. We'll take a look at that. In Wisconsin, not necessarily the 26th ranked team like they were last week. They still received 27 votes, but BYU dropped out of the top 25. They had 74 votes. Then it's Louisville, Kentucky, Missouri, and then Wisconsin. So you're looking to kind of do that, maybe the 30th team in the country and such. So, but a little bit higher in the coaches poll on their list. They got BYU 26, 27, Louisville, then Wisconsin around 28. So, but we'll talk some hoops. We'll talk some hockey, all that good stuff. With RJ, all Badger stuff with RJ coming up in a couple of hours from now. So we'll talk some. We'll do a little Packers chat today. By the way, is the deadline for teams to put those tags on potential free agents, franchise tags and such. I don't think that'll affect Green Bay. Doesn't seem like that they're going to be making any of those decisions and moves and such. So, as we get set for the new league year next week and that. I want to play a little, sometimes we do a little game time and such, so I want to do a little bit of a game time here today. It'll just kind of be something we hit up throughout the morning here, but, obviously a lot of focus and a lot of excitement for some people is going to be next week's free agency for the NFL opening up, right? Legal tampering and then a new league year. You're going to see all of these free agent signings and such, and maybe the Packers will be involved in that first year and such. But we all know like some of the best free agent signings in Packers history, right? Reggie White, Charles Woodson, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, free agent signings. Remember, Favre was a trade, so those were Hall of Famers. Reggie White, Charles Woodson. I really want you to put on your thinking caps here, because I think this is something that Green Bay has to do this offseason. Think about those maybe second-tier free agent signings that Green Bay has done over the years since free agency began in the early 90s. Think about those signings, but the best ones that maybe, wow, that was a signing at that time that maybe didn't think too much about or didn't put a whole lot of stock in. But, man, that was an awesome signing that maybe took the team to another level and such. So take away the Reggie Whites. Take away the Charles Woodsons. I'm not looking for Hall of Famers, okay? I'm looking for the second, maybe even the third-tier free agents in Packers history that you thought, man, that was a home run sign. That was maybe the best second-tier or the best third-tier signing by the Packers, because I don't think, maybe I'll be surprised. Maybe we'll be surprised. I don't think Green Bay is going to make a big free agent signing and such. But I do think they got to find, those. Okay, for example, they got to find a player like a Ryan Pickett. Ryan Pickett, when he signed up in, was it 06, same year as Charles Woodson, people are probably like, who? Oh, okay, whatever, Ryan Pickett. But a long, consistent career with Green Bay, a very good player, a very solid player. Probably we took him for granted and such. Big old Pickett, Spillet Pickett. Those type of players. I think they need those type of players, to veterans and such. They're not going to get the limelight. They're not going to get a whole lot of attention maybe in free agency and such. But maybe the best way to say is those role players. So think about it for a little bit. Let's come up with a list. So again, no Whites, no Charles Woodsons, no Hall of Famers. We're talking about the second and third tier, some of the better ones. All right, have a little fun with this, a little game time and such. It is also a Toyson Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday. So what in the world is grinding your gears this morning? Maybe a lot of us, it's surrounding the Bucks and that, but if you got anything, send them on over to that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line. Make it appropriate so I can read them on the air. Also, it is a Hy-Vee game changer of the week. In your opinion, what was the play? What was the player that changed the game? Was a game-changing play from the past week or so? So think about that for a little bit and hit me up. All right. Also on the chat on the YouTube stream. So that's your game plan for this morning. We're going to try to dabble into a little bit of everything. And I know we've got high school boys basketball playoffs starting tonight. So best of luck to all the high school boys basketball teams that are in action tonight. I know like Division I, we got a couple. Not everybody's in action. And Division I, Division II, a good chunk of Division III, but not necessarily everybody. And then like it's full scale D4, D5 and such. So best of luck to all the boys basketball teams to kick off their postseason start tonight. So, all right, let's get it rocking and rolling, shall we? That's your game plan. We'll take our first quick break, and then we'll begin things off with the leadoff coming up after these quick words. Pain doesn't have to slow you down at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Their experienced team is focused on getting you back to doing what you love, whether that's competing on the field, staying active, or simply moving without discomfort. From joint pain and sports injuries to advanced surgical and non-surgical treatments, they provide personalized care designed around you. Local experts, advanced techniques, real results. If pain is holding you back, take the next step towards recovery. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, helping you move better every single day. So, all right, let's open it up with some hoops chat here, really quick. Before that, we do have a few of you chiming in with the question. Best second tier free agent signing. A couple of you you're sending over some trades. So Al Harris was traded, living a dream, Jeff. So was Keith Jackson. Keith Jackson was traded from the Dolphins to the Packers. Then he was going to hold out until Reggie White kind of convinced him and such. So not trades. We're looking at free agents. All right, free agents. So, but got a couple of other good ones there. So we'll wait for more people to chime in with their picks and such. But free agent signings, again, not trades. No Reggie Whites, no Charles Woodsons. We're looking at the second tier, third tier type of free agents and such. So send those on over. Text us 715-830-1912. All right. So, okay. Let's get things going here this morning. I want to open it up talking some hoops here. Want to talk a little Bucks to open it up. Bucks getting the Greek Freak, Giannis, returning last night. Back in the lineup, going up against the Boston Celtics. And then yesterday, before the game, Jaylen Brown wasn't going to play. You're thinking, hey, maybe the Bucks could steal a W. Maybe they could steal a win going up against the Boston Celtics without Jaylen Brown. And then you get Giannis back in the lineup. Yeah, no, that didn't happen. No. The one of the better defensive teams in the league, the Boston Celtics, shut down the Milwaukee Bucks, and one of the most infuriating and frustrating teams in the association, the Milwaukee Bucks. 108-81 loss. Giannis leading the way, 19 points, 11 rebounds in 25 minutes, and that was pretty much it. Jiang had 13 and 30 minutes getting into the starting lineup. Bobby Portis had 12 off the bench, and that was it in terms of offensive production and double-figure scoring. That was it. The Celtics shot the ball 21 more times than the Bucks last night. 21 more times. We were talking about some of the rankings yesterday. You want to talk about second chance points and offensive rebounds and how bad the Bucks have been this year, like dead last or second to last in a lot of those categories? That was on display last night too. The Celtics had 10 more offensive rebounds than the Bucks last night. 19-9. Unbelievable. And this is too with the Celtics only going to the charity stripe 9 times. 9 times. That's it. Just the only player to not play last night for the Bucks too was Kyle Kuzma, and Doc Rivers said afterwards it was coach's decision and such. So another frustrating, irritating loss for the Bucks last night. And this is the third loss in a row after going 8-2 in their last 10 games prior to that. So, Giannis, though, he chatted a little bit after the contest, talking about being cleared to play and kind of his injury history here. So let's play a little bit from what Giannis had to say last night. Kind of talking about returning to the lineup at this point in time in the season and such. So audio courtesy from the Bucks here.
So I guess just what has this rehab process been like for you? And what did it feel like to finally be given the clearance to get back on the basketball court tonight?
Yeah, feel good. Feel a little bit rusty, but always something new in my career. Being out for such a long time, and not just one time, multiple times into a season. It definitely disrupt my rhythm, but at the end of the day, I just, try to take it day by day, game by game. I'm happy that I'm back. And I'm just happy that I'm on the court. Like, it doesn't matter if I play 18, 20 minutes, 22, whatever. I'm just happy that I'm out there. I'm just in a mindset that try not to take nothing for granted. Obviously, did not play well tonight. But at the end of the day, I'm just happy that I'm out there, being able to, help my teammates in any way that I can and just do what I love, which is play basketball.
And a little bit later on, he was kind of asked about, the mindset and that he has, and maybe kind of going forward with, all the injuries that he has been suffering, especially this year, as he noted a little bit earlier there. The long stretches that he has been out. So, again, audio courtesy from the Milwaukee Bucks.
You were pretty adamant back then you were going to come back and play. But straining that calf twice, obviously we know, there's Achilles fears there. You even kind of referenced that in that. So what was that? Not that you don't think about those things in the past, but where was your overall health, your long-term health, and like your mental state, I guess, in this process of, I've done this twice. I want to come back, but I want to make sure I'm healthy. I'm not putting myself at risk. What was that like for you?
I think being in the NBA for 13 years, I've been injured a lot. I've sprained my ankles. I've hyperextended my knee. My back has been hurting me. Sprained my wrist. And I'm able to come back. Like when the doctor tells me 2, 3, 4 weeks, I'm able to cut that time in half and come back. They've told me in the past 4 weeks out, I've come back in 7 days. They've told me 3 weeks out, I've been back in 4 days. So, I thought it'd be the same. And I think that's sometimes not good because it's just like a false reality. Like, it's not always going to be that case. And I felt like this year going to be the same thing. Like, okay, yeah, hurt my groin. Had to be out for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Came back in I don't remember, 10 days. But I'm 31 years old. Just got to be able to be more smarter moving forward because things that I was able to do in the past, maybe I'm not able to do now. And I just got to be more methodical with my rehab, the way I take care of my body, the way I play. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Moving forward, I just got to be smarter.
All right, so again, that was Giannis last night after the game, and kind of probably sounds like a lot of people who are getting a little bit older and such don't recover the way that I used to when I was younger and such. So just thought that was kind of a little bit interesting, for Giannis to kind of admit that, getting older, been around for a while now, a lot of guys always kind of pride themselves in the sports world to return quicker than maybe what, doctors or training staffs have always told them. But when it comes to Giannis right now, he's might be realizing that's not going to be the case for him going forward because of the wear and tear in his body and just the overall age on him right now. But with all that being said, as we approach the final quarter of this regular season, time is definitely winding down on this season, and if the Bucks want to try to get into this postseason, chances are they're going to need Giannis, to be in that lineup more times than not. They're going to need him to be in that lineup more times than not to maybe get into that play-in round. Right now, they're 3.5 games out of that final playoff spot. And coming up tomorrow night, they've got the Atlanta Hawks, a team that is one of the teams that they're chasing for one of those final wild card spots. So the thing, and this is my grind my gears Tuesday, and I'll keep saying this. I always keep saying it before I kind of get to it. I hate it. I shouldn't say hate. I don't like calling for people's jobs or calling for firings and such. I don't like doing that. But to call a spade here, I don't quite get what is going on with the mindset that Doc has for this team, the rotations. I mean, there is no consistency with this thing. There is just nothing is working. Nothing is working. And there is absolutely no way. I don't care if Giannis is with the team next year or if he is not, regardless. But they have got to make a change. They have got to make a change in direction, in leadership, in the mindset of that coaching staff, of that locker room. I would take Darvin Ham as an assistant any day right now over Doc Rivers. I would do that. There's just no way possible. If the Bucks want to, if Giannis, let's say Giannis is on the roster next year for this Bucks team, it is now a win now type of situation. There's no way possible that Doc Rivers should be the head coach for this team next year. Yeah, there's probably a lot of people saying you shouldn't be the coach right now, and I'm probably going to agree with you right at this point. But with nearly just a quarter of the season left to go, I doubt they're going to make a move. I mean, maybe they pull a Brewers 2008 where they let go of Ned Yost with how many games left, and Dale Swain manages it, and they get into the postseason and that. Don't see the Brewers or the Bucks kind of pulling that card out, but there's just absolutely no way. There's no way possible that can you begin next season, regardless if Giannis is on the team or not, of Doc Rivers being the head coach of this ball club. It's mind-boggling to see some of this. And I don't know if it's just because the inconsistency as a team and Doc is trying to do different things and trying to put, different lineups in there, but it's like, what are you doing? What are we doing? I don't get it. And that's my Toyson Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday. I don't get it. All right, we got to take a quick break, but we'll be back in just a few minutes. Looking for reliable auto service right here in Chippewa Valley? Hey, you've got a couple options, and both of them are right here in Eau Claire, and they are AJM Automotive with 2 convenient locations in Eau Claire. AJM Automotive makes it simple to get the care that your vehicle deserves, whether it's routine maintenance, some brake work, engine repairs, or maybe a set of new tires. They got you covered. Friendly experts, honest advice, quality service that gets you back on the road safely. Check out their website, ajmautomotiveservices.com. You can also follow them on Facebook, because according to their Facebook page, too, their new location on Bellinger Street going to offer some Saturday services, too, to help make it easier on you. So AJM Automotive, dependable service, done right here in Eau Claire. Kind of doing a little game time here this morning with next week free agency opening up in the NFL and that, and kind of taking your picks, putting together a list of who you think are some of the best second, third tier players, free agents that the Packers have signed since free agency started in the mid-90s. All right, so it's got to be free agents. Got to be free agents. So no Reggie Whites or Charles Woodsons. I'm not looking for the Hall of Famers. I'm looking for that second, third tier, those maybe role players that when you look back at it, like, yeah, that dude helped them win Super Bowl 31, 45, or was just a really good signing. There's a couple of players I'm surprised nobody has picked. I'll just say the majority of everybody's picking players from the mid-90s on that Super Bowl 31 team. But there's a couple that I would throw in there for Super Bowl 45. Very, very, very pivotal. Not just for that season, but for years too. And nobody's really mentioned. Nobody has mentioned them yet. So I'll gonna wait to see if anybody says them yet. But one of them for sure. One of them for sure. So, but all right. Send those on over. You can text those to me, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. We'll get back to that. We'll probably hit that up coming up in the next hour and such. So, we've got some more baseball projections and odds and that sort of stuff. So, Codify, I just saw that they posted their playoff chance. Well, actually, this was last night, but I saw Buster Olney retweet it. So the 2026 playoff chances. How about this? Ready? Probably don't be too shocked on this one. One team has a 90 to 100% chance, according to Codify, of making the playoffs. If you said the Dodgers, ding, 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 you win the prize. No big surprise. The second highest team, though, maybe was a little bit more of a surprise. 80 to 90% chance, Atlanta. Okay. In the 70 to 80% chance, Seattle, the Mets, the Tigers, and the Yankees. 60 to 70%, the Phillies, Toronto, and the Cubs. 50 to 60%, Boston and Baltimore. 40 to 50%, you ready for this one? Pittsburgh. And then the Brewers show up in the 30 to 40% chance with the Royals, with the Giants, with the Texans, with the Rangers, with the Diamondbacks, and with the Tampa Bay Rays. So according to Codified, their projections, Brewers have the third best chance in their division to make the postseason, behind the Cubs and behind the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, I think it's fair to say that the Pirates, you look at some of their offseason moves, yeah, they've gotten better. And they got Paul Skeens, one of the best, maybe for some, the best starting pitcher in Major League Baseball. But is it enough to be better than the Brewers this year? Is it enough? Remains to be seen. Remains to be seen at this point. But again, it's just a just another example of the metrics out there that are going up against the Brewers and such, which, again, I mean, we're at the point now that are we too surprised? We shouldn't be surprised. We shouldn't be surprised. So, but all right. We got to take another break here. We got some more text still. I'm looking for the one free agent that nobody has picked yet for this Packers team. Obviously, Desmond Howard's been a popular pick. That one's up there. I'd even throw another one in there from that Super Bowl 31 team that nobody's mentioning. But yeah, there's one, and it fairly, I shouldn't say too recent, but I mean not that long ago. And I'm a little surprised that nobody's throwing his name out there. I'm going to give you a couple more minutes to maybe think about it. I'm a little surprised even Seabaum didn't even pick this person. So, all right, we'll take a quick break as we start to wrap up the first hour. We'll be right back after these quick words. When it comes to quality meats, you don't guess it. You go straight to the experts at Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. You're not just buying meat, but you're buying experience. Hand-cut steaks, fresh ground beef, house-made brats and sausages, thick-cut chops done exactly the way you like them. This is your neighborhood butcher shop where quality comes first and service still matters. Planning a cookout, stocking up for the week, or looking for that perfect steak for dinner tonight? Well, then you need to stop over at Mike's Star Market and taste the difference that a real butcher makes. We've got a few texts coming in here with some picks here. So let's go through some of them. Still looking for the one that's at the top of my mind, but James Stark was. Actually, James Stark was a draft pick, so he was not a free agent. I believe 6th round out of Buffalo. But was it 6th round? Now I got to look it up because it's going to bug me. Let me just... James Stark. Yeah, selected by the Packers in the 6th round of 2010 draft. So, free agents. We've got... Oh, boy, of course, C-Bomb would take his boy Devon House. Is that supposed to be Devondre Campbell? Boy, that's a lot of typos. Ryan Pickett. We've got Santana Dotson, Gilbert Brown. Sam Shields was technically a free agent. He was an undrafted free agent that year. So, I mean, technically a free agent. But he was, signed up after the draft was completed and such. Santana Sean Jones. We've got Howard Green. Andre Rison was a pick. Julius Peppers is not the person that I'm thinking of. So there's actually a couple of them, but one really. I'm going to give a couple. I'll wait till past 7 o'clock to say the person who I'm thinking of. Rasul Douglas is on there too, but I'm thinking of one second tier, third tier free agent signing that turned out to be a pretty damn good player. Pretty damn good player. So surprised nobody is saying that. So all right, let's give you a few more minutes to text those on over. There's one, and then there's another name too. And I'm a little surprised nobody's kind of mentioning out there. He was kind of an impact player. I'll give you one hint. One of them, impact player for that Super Bowl 31 team. And the other one's an impact player for the Super Bowl 45 team. Just those are the two hints. So, all right. See if anybody can guess them coming up in the next few minutes. So we'll hit that up. But in case you're just joining, you're like, what the heck are you guys talking about? With free agency starting next week. I don't think Green Bay is going to be a team that's going to get, big time free agent and such, but we're just having a little fun. And we always talk about, Reggie White, one of the best free agent signings of all time, Charles Woodson, one of the best free agent signings of all time. But what about the next tier? What about those role players? What about those other players that, they're not Hall of Famers? Okay, we're not talking about Hall of Fame players. We're talking about, guys that were just pivotal players for some really good teams. Putting together a list of some of those best ones, those bargain free agent signings, if you will. So, you got to stop C-Bomb texting right now. That's holy moly. You are just, all right, finally somebody got it right, but I'm not going to say it yet till after the next one. But Smuck, if you're listening, you're the first one who got it right. You're the first one who got it right. So, all right. We'll get to some more of those. I got to minimize that because you guys are distracting me. So we'll get to that. We're going to talk some more Brewers baseball coming up in the next hour as well. We've got Badger Chat with Mr. RJ Cardinal coming up as well. It is a Toys of Four to Grind My Gears Tuesday. I think right now I'm switching my Grind My Gears to C-Bomb trying to text, whether it's speech or texting right now. That's man, I think my kid could probably write better than you right now, C-Bomb. So, but what is grinding your gears? Toys of Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday. You can hit us up with that. What is the Hy-Vee, or who is the Hy-Vee game changer for the past week? The player or the play that was your game-changing moment. Again, it doesn't have to be the best play. It doesn't have to be the top play. It doesn't have to be a top 10 play or anything like that. It could be something that, hey, nobody's really talking about this play, but it had an impact in the game. Make your pick. Send it on over to us on that text line or on the YouTube video stream. So we'll get to those coming up here. We got Badger Chat with Mr. RJ Cardinal in the 8 o'clock hour. So we'll talk some hoops as the Badgers getting set to wrap up their regular season this week. Got Maryland tomorrow. And then, of course, that big game against Purdue on Saturday. And then we get into the Big Ten Conference Tournament. Badgers, hopefully nobody's too surprised, but they did not jump into the top 25 rankings. Actually kind of fell a little bit in the top 25 rankings if you look at it from the AP poll side of things and you look at others who have received votes. They're about 30. So I think, Joe Lenardi's updated bracketology will be coming out later today. We'll see if there's any movement there or if the Badgers still kind of slotted in at that 7th seed in the tournament. Speaking of which, you can pre-register. You can pre-sign up right now for our bracket challenge at sportstalk1051.com. And, hey, while you're there, we want to send a kiddo to a Brewers-Dodgers game coming up in May as part of Backyard Dreams. So if you know of a youngster who has maybe never been to a Brewers game before, or maybe this would just be a great surprise because maybe they need a little pick-me-up or whatever the case may be, nominate that child right now by going to our website, sportstalk1051.com. Click on that Fan Cave tab and nominate that child that you think deserves, that we should send some tickets to go check out Brewers versus Dodgers when the Dodgers come to town in the month of May. So again, you can hit up our website for that and nominate a child. And it's going to be a quick turnaround because we're going to be announcing the winner already next week. So it's a quick turnaround, but get on over to that website and send it on in, all right? Or nominate it on in, okay? So looking, that'll be awesome. I mean, potentially seeing Ohtani, obviously the Brewers, but, Ohtani, Betts. I mean, the loaded-up Dodgers team that is out there already, too. So, all right. Yeah, we'll get back to some more Brewers. Brewers are back in action, taking on Great Britain this today, and then they'll be back at it with a little bit of a normal schedule coming your way tomorrow as they take on the Chicago Cubs and such. So I got about a minute left here. Good morning, Morgan.
All right, minute, huh?
Yeah,
on
minutes.
a grind your gears Tuesday.
Yep.
Biggest current driving pet peeve. Because I'm going to ask you this. If you pass...
Probably on Claremont when the idiotic college kids are like driving 80 and weaving through traffic.
And then they have to slam on the brakes as they hit the red light.
Yeah.
If you pass somebody, do you have to look at them when you pass?
If they annoy me, I do a glance. I'm like...
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't. It does. Yeah. I'm not. I can't crank my head. But they're coming up on some self-driving cars right now in Wisconsin, legislation for that. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Thumbs up or thumbs down on self-driving cars?
Thumbs down.
Okay, but you don't think anyone else can drive, so do you think a machine would be
better
at
No.
it?
No. I don't need robots taking over the world. So
you want to put eyes on the person that's irritating you and then make up a story in your head about them?
Yep.
Okay. They probably can't do anything right?
Right.
Probably a Vikings fan behind
Probably, maybe, sort of thing. So
you got the whole story.
That's too creepy. I don't trust that. So.
Okay, so you're going full-on real car drives every time.
Yep.
And you're the only one that can do it well.
Yep.
Exactly. Okay, just making sure we're square there.
All right. Thanks, Morg.
Yeah, anytime.
All right, 1 quarter in. We got a couple more to go. Stick around. We'll be back after these quick news updates. All right, here we go. Second quarter kicking off right now on this Tuesday morning. Big thanks for tuning in and making us a part of your start here. We've got more hoops chats coming your way a little bit later on. Bucks falling last night, even with the return of one Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek Freak. Bucks still falling to the Boston Celtics last night. 3.5 games out from the top, or not the top, from the last Eastern Conference playoff spots. Starting to look even a little bit more glimmer, not even that glim at this point. So. But we'll talk a little bit about that. Revisit some of the conversations we had in the first hour. We've got Badgers chat coming up with RJ Cardinal. That'll be RJ will be joining us next hour. We'll talk some Badger hoops. We'll talk some hockey and such with him. But also we'll talk some baseball coming up here in just a little bit. It is a Toyson Ford to grind my gears Tuesday. What in the world is grinding your gears? Text it on over, 715-830-1912, or you could join in on the YouTube video chat. As part of our little game time, just throwing a little fun game out there, we've asked, no Hall of Famers. So no Reggie Whites, technically no Julius Peppers, no Charles Woodson. Give me the best maybe free agent signings in Packers history that were not Hall of Famers and such. Who are those players? Smuck has the only one. I'm a little surprised that Desmond Howard has been a popular one. Tana Dotson's been a popular one. Andre Rison has been a popular one. Tramon Williams, you guys. What about Tramon Williams? Super Bowl 40. If they don't win Super Bowl 45, they don't get the Super Bowl 45 without Tramon Williams. And then the pass breakup at the end. So Smuck, well done, sir. Tramon Williams, yes, he was a free agent signing because he was undrafted. Originally went to the Texans as an undrafted rookie free agent. Texans released him. Packers signed him in November of, 06? And dude was a fantastic free agent signing by Green Bay. I throw another one in there. I don't know if anybody mentioned maybe a little bit earlier. Don Beebe. Give a little love to Don Beebe. Especially Super Bowl 31. Robert Brooks gets hurt, done for the year. Don Beebe. Stepping up big time. Remember that was at that 49ers Monday night game? Don Beebe just going off. So those would be a couple picks I'd throw in there too. Tramon and Don Beebe. Ryan Pickett, definitely. I think he gets incredibly overlooked and underrated as a solid free agent signing. I think that was Ted's first free agent signing too. Was Ryan Pickett, then Charles Woodson was after that too. So, but no, the two people I was thinking about was Tramon, and then Smuck came in right away, or Smuck came in just a few minutes ago and finally threw his name in there. So Smuck, you get a pat on the back. Get a pat on the back here for this morning. So, the NFL just announced another team that's going to be playing an international game. The Atlanta Falcons are going to be playing in Madrid. So the Atlanta Falcons will be going over there. I don't think do the Packers play the Falcons at all this year? I always forget. So Green Bay, they do not. Nope. Yeah, or they're home against the Falcons, so that's not going to happen. They do play the Falcons, but it's at Lambeau, so that's not going to be the game. That'll be over there. So, all right. Well, we'll see if Green Bay is going to get an international game this year or not. So, but, hey, continue to send me some of your maybe best Packers free agent signings that were not Hall of Famers, that were not Reggie White, that were not Charles Woodson, but they were fantastic signings. The reason I bring this up is, one, we've got free agency starting next week in that. But I think Green Bay's in a position right now where they could use a player like maybe a Don Beebe, not saying wide receiver, but a Don Beebe, an Andre Rison, maybe a veteran that could step in for a year or two, like a Santana Dotson that a few of you have put in there as well. Like who were some of those other players that were just great role players that came in and elevated the Packers just a little bit more? Who are some of those other players. All right, think about it for a little bit, and continue to send me those picks. I guess, could we also go a little bit of George Kuntz, if you want to go back to, again, the mid-'90s and such? George Kuntz originally was with Atlanta, signed as an undrafted free agent, ended up having a solid career for a while with the Green Bay Packers. Can you throw a little George Kuntz in there? There's some others. There's some others we could really kind of deep dive into this as well. Eric Dickerson, nice. So, well, technically Julius Peppers, though, is a Hall of Famer, so we're not looking for Hall of Famers. Not looking for Hall of Famers there, Chad. So, technically he is a Hall of Famer, but obviously not when he was with the Packers, so I'm not going to be nitpicking too much into that. But, yeah, especially with the Eric Dickerson one, too. So, keep those coming. Text them, 715-830-1912. I got to minimize that because we've got quite a few of them coming in there, including Bloomer Tony throwing in John Kuhn. Hey, how about that? Yeah. John Kuhn originally was with the Steelers for a couple years. Then obviously made himself a career in Green Bay. So throw that one in there too. No doubt about it. Nobody wants to throw Martellus Bennett in here? Nobody? Bueller? Okay, it's a joke. Chill. But today is the deadline for tags, like franchise tags and such when it comes to the NFL. So I would be shocked if Green Bay is going to be handing out any tags and such. But perhaps the most intriguing player today, we'll find out if they're going to get a tag or not, is maybe like Daniel Jones from the Colts. A lot of this stuff, too, is maybe a little bit of a game of chicken between the two. But you look at the Colts, too. They've got a couple of top-tier potential free agents when you look at Alec Pierce and you look at Daniel Jones and such. So could they put a tag on one of those guys? We know George Pickens is getting the tag. The Jets have said that they would tag Breece Hall. Cincinnati has refused to rule out tagging Trey Hendrickson. Some of these teams will tag players and then try to trade them and such. And, we had another trade yesterday. The Lions traded David Montgomery to the Houston Texans. So, it was shortly after there was a report that David Montgomery wanted to be traded, wanted out of Detroit, kind of saw his carries being cut down. You have Jahmyr Gibbs. So there was a report that he wanted out, and lo and behold, he gets sent to the Houston Texans. So Texans were a little active yesterday, making some trades and such, trading an offensive lineman and then acquiring a running back. So other news, we're seeing some teams, creating some cap space and such. Marshawn Lattimore getting released by the Commanders. I hope. I don't know what he's going to cost. He's 29 years old. He'll be 30 this year. But I would probably say no for him over in Green Bay because of, this guy has not played double-digit games in a long time. Technically, in 2023, he played 10 games, but he was a rookie in 17. Okay, when he was with the Saints in his first few years, he was awesome. But injuries have really derailed his career as of late. So in 2017, he played 13, then 16, then 14, then 14, then 16. 2022, he played 7 games. 2023, 10 games. 2024, 9 games. Last year, 9 games. It would have to be very cheap for Green Bay to make a move to bring him aboard. Otherwise, no thank you. He's a name. He's a name, but right now he is not the same player that he was when he was with the New Orleans Saints in his first few seasons. I don't think I've seen a lot of Packers fans clamoring for that signing, but would I be opposed? Okay, 1 year minimum type of deal, and nothing really guaranteed, just to kind of kick the tires and maybe kind of see what you got with him. Sure, I'm okay with that, but don't put a lot of money in there. There's other better options, I would say, that are out there when it comes to Green Bay and such. But I don't think Green Bay, they're not going to do any franchise tags a year. Somebody just asked, would Green Bay put a transition tag or franchise tag on anybody? I mean, never say never, but I don't see that happening with any of their guys, even if they want to try to find a trade partner and such. So, all right, we got to take a quick break, but we'll have more football talk. Continue to send me some more players. Who do you think were some of the best value? Maybe that's the best way to put it. Who are some of the best value free agents in Packers history? I think, let's roll with that. Who are some of the best value free agents that the Packers have signed over the years? All right. Ponder that a little bit and let me know. Best value ones, okay? Maybe not necessarily the best high priced, but the best value free agents. So take away the Smith brothers, take away the Peppers, take away the Reggie Whites and Charles Woodsons, the best value free agents. There's some other good ones out there. All right, we got a quick break, but we'll be back with plenty more coming up after these quick words. Accidents happen, and getting back on the road should not be stressful. At Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, you will find experienced technicians, quality craftsmanship, and service that you can trust. From collision repair, dent removal, and all the above, they handle the details so you don't have to, including insurance coordination. They'll restore your vehicle the right way, safely, professionally, and with attention to detail. Every detail. When your vehicle needs expert care, choose the team that puts quality first. That's Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, bringing your vehicle back to life, one repair at a time. We've got another vote for Howard Green. He's already gotten a few votes from others for the value free agent signing. So, yep, Surveyor chiming in with Surveyor. He's been one of the more popular picks as well. So try to think of some other ones that maybe haven't been mentioned a lot or not that often. There's still a few. I've got a few in my head, but I'm waiting to see if anybody else is out there. If anybody else is willing to chime in and make their pick out there too. So you can text those again on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or you can hit us up on the YouTube video stream. Let's do a little baseball chat this morning. The Brewers will be back on the field today. They're going to be going up against Great Britain in a scrimmage and such. I guess I'm kind of curious, kind of do an informal poll here. And the Miz is slated to get started, by the way, today. So we'll get to see Jacob Mizorowski today. But not on the radio, FYI. But how does the World Baseball Classic intrigue you? Are you interested in following along with it? Are you looking forward to watching it, listening to it, whatever the case? Is that something that, you're like, I'm excited for this? Kind of got to see some of the stuff yesterday. Aaron Judge talking to the team. You probably saw some of the clips out there on social media, the captain and that. But in terms of your excitement level or that, where is the World Baseball Classic for you on that? Like, how high on a scale of like 1 to 10, like saying 10? Oh, that's going to consume my life, man. I'm all about that right now. I'm intrigued with it. I like the World Baseball Classic. Like I said, I'll be curious. I'll be following along in that. So I'd probably put it at maybe a 7 for me. The other part in this thing is I just want to make sure that the Brewers players that are representing all these different teams, please don't get hurt. Please just don't get hurt, okay? Don't let it affect your regular season. Don't let it affect this upcoming long regular season. So that's the only thing. But that's like anything. Just don't get hurt in this type. So when you're looking at for the World Baseball Classics, schedule and such, because we're getting there Tuesday. We've got today these exhibition games and such, and then kind of going forward, we got some pool play coming up to tomorrow, some more exhibition games and such, and then Thursday we get into some more pool play action. Team USA, it looks like they're going to be in action on Friday. Logan Webb's going to get the first start, it looks like. Is that correct? Is that Team USA's first one? I'm just looking on MLB.com's schedule here, and yeah, because we got some other. Okay, so looks like Friday's their first pool play. No, I'm intrigued, and I'll be paying attention, following along with it for sure. So, Brewers wise though, as we mentioned, the Miz is going to be getting the start here today, and it'll be his first appearance in spring training and such. So we all know Jacob Mizorowski is one of those. Is it fair to describe Miz as a kind of a wild card player for the Brewers this year? Because I think there's excitement. He's obviously super, super, super talented in that. But can he be maybe a little bit more consistent? Can he be, that dominating player that we're all hoping that he becomes? I think that's, what are some of the biggest question marks that maybe you have for Jacob Misiorowski? If we were to put together kind of a list of questions that we want answered from Jacob Misiorowski this year, or maybe just general questions about the Miz heading into this year. Health, right? Can he stay healthy? Nothing happens to that elbow. Nothing happens to that shoulder for as hard as he throws. Hopefully nothing bad happens. Can he be consistent? The webs and flows that we saw last year, was that just a product of, him coming on the scene, playing really well right away, then the spotlight got on him, these matchups with Skeens and Kershaw's all-star games and such that just get a little too much and kind of fell off a little bit. Then he bounced back nicely in the postseason. Is he going to be able to be a consistent, dominant pitcher? Maybe that's the other question. Can he be a dominant pitcher? We saw glimpses of that last year, right? I mean, when that kid is on and when that kid's in the zone, he could be dominant. I think a big person, a big, help for Misiorowski this year is going to be Contreras. Because I think there was sometimes that last year that we saw Miz, sometimes things weren't going the greatest or maybe struggled a little bit. Some of the mechanics started to lack for Misiorowski, maybe getting a little frustration. And we've all been there before, especially playing sports or something. If, maybe you're not playing right or you're just kind of in a little bit of a funk during the game and such, you start to pile on more. Maybe you start to think about it a little bit more and it just kind of gets worse and worse and worse and it snowballs after that. And I think we kind of saw some of those moments from Misiorowski last year. But maybe the other question is, how is the mental game going to be for the Miz this year? All right, you had a bad pitch or you had a bad at-bat. Forget about it and move on. Had a bad half inning. Forget about it. Get ready for the next one. Short memory. Is that something he's going to be better at? Is that something that he's going to continue to get better at? I mean, if Misiorowski hits all the levels that we are expecting or hoping for, this guy is going to be a really good pitcher for the Brewers for hopefully a few years. But, yeah, I think it's still fair to say that maybe a little bit of an unknown, maybe a little bit of a wild cardness to him heading into this year because of what we saw last year. And he's still young and he's still really inexperienced. But if he is going to be that pitcher that we're hoping and that we expect him to be, dude could be a really, really good pitcher. So those are popular names, too, that have all been mentioned, man. BB's been mentioned. I mentioned BB. Desmond Howard, probably the most popular one. Devondre Campbell's been mentioned a few times. Sean Jones, probably the second most popular one. So, I mean, those have been mentioned quite a bit. Look, what are some of the other ones that people have not mentioned so far? There's a few. All right, we got to take another break. Keep those coming. Who are some of the best value free agents in Packers history? Still some names out there that nobody's throwing out there. All right, come on. Put your thinking caps on. Put them on. I know it's still early. Grab that coffee. Think about it a little bit. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back after these quick words. When it comes to glass, clarity matters. At Post Glass and Mirror in Chippewa Falls, you'll find expert craftsmanship and dependable service for your home, business, or vehicle. From custom shower doors and mirrors to window replacements and auto glass repair, they do it all, and they do it right. Whether you are upgrading your space or fixing a crack before it spreads, Post Glass and Mirror delivers quality that you can see. Local, experienced, and trusted. Post Glass and Mirror in Chippewa Falls. Clear solutions built to last. Last night, a quick update on our 715 Speaks poll question brought to you by Post Glass and Mirror. With it now being March, we simply just asked, what time frame, what area, or what time in the calendar is your favorite sports time? So we combined March and April. I combined March and April. March Madness, April, you got the draft and such. So that one is leading the way. 57% of you who voted picked March, April as the best time of year on the calendar, sports-wise. 39% of you went with October. October is just, I guess I could have just named it fall. But essentially, you've got the NFL season's going on, college football's going on, NBA starting, NHL's going on. You got some playoff baseball and such. So a lot is going on. 3% of you picked January and February. I'm assuming that's probably because of maybe the Super Bowl, NFL playoffs, college football playoffs. NBA's going on, NHL is going on and such. That would be my guess. And then summer is just dead last. Which kind of, spring. I guess you'd be wrapping up the NBA and NHL because it's like June and that. And then, of course, baseball's going on. And then maybe you get to training camp and football. But, yeah, I would probably pick – I completely agree with the top two. It's like March, April combination, and then October would be second. It's for different reasons and such, but, yeah. I mean, you've got – college basketball, March Madness. You've got the NFL draft. You've got the Masters. You've got opening day in baseball. NBA starting to wrap up their seasons, along with the NHL getting into the postseason and such. So there's definitely a ton. October, it's got more of the game action in it, right? Not really events like the NFL draft or anything, but it's I could be convinced either way, but I'd probably go March, April, somewhere around there. If you didn't vote, you can head to the Sports Talk 105.1 Facebook page and vote. So, surveyor says, you know what grinds my gears? People who don't use the turn signal. Oh, my goodness, those people are up there with the worst people on the face of the planet. I mean, car manufacturers made it easy to use. You could flip them with one finger, or maybe you don't know where it's located. Okay, my fault, guys. It's not like they cover this in driver's ed, but there is a little handle on the left side of your steering wheel. If you push it down, it magically turns on your left signal. If you push it up, it turns on your right. The same people don't use them are the same people who don't return their shopping cart. If you are one of those people, I hope you stub your toe hard enough so you think it's broken, but it's not. Good one. Are we considering Tremont or Sam Shields? Yeah. Tremont, I mean, he was originally with Houston, and then Packers signed him. Sam Shields is technically, I guess, I mean, he was an undrafted rookie free agent. I mean, Tremont's more of a real free agent pickup than Sam Shields if I had to pick between the two. But, I mean, Sam is technically an undrafted rookie free agent signing. So, Chris Banjo, all right, yeah, throw him in there. I'm good. So, I'm really going deep into some of these next few players that I'm going to throw out there for consideration. Okay, because they had impacts. All right. For Super Bowl 31, he originally spent some time with Tampa Bay and then the Colts. Wrapped up his career with the Packers for 5 years, though. Let's give a little love to number 39, Mike Pryor. Everybody remember backup safety Mike Pryor? Duke got interception in Super Bowl 31. Got to give a little love to Mike Pryor. That free agent signing, that kind of worked out for a little bit. When you think about Packers tight ends, the guy, he had a solid, 5 years or so? Donald Lee started off with the Miami Dolphins, Not an all-time great or such, but I mean, he was the starting tight end in Super Bowl 45 for the Packers. In terms of a value signing, it probably worked out. Charlie Peppera stepping in for an injured Morgan Burnett in Super Bowl 45 was originally with the Giants. Eric Walden, originally Kansas City, Miami for a couple years, and then part of that 2010, let's sign up everybody because we're getting hurt. And then, he made some big-time plays. I'm sure ended up cashing in free agency in 2013 with, was it the Colts, I believe? So, again, are these the best value free agents? No, but I'm throwing their names into consideration for some solid free agent value signings. And I think that's where Green Bay's got to look at this thing when it comes to free agency coming up here. I don't think they're going to be in the market for some of the top tier free agents when this thing opens up next week. But I think they are definitely a team that, all right, we've got to find our Don Beebes. We've got to find our Santana Dotsons. We've got to find, those type of players to add to this roster. We got to find those veterans that could be impactful players, role players, but help lead the way to a Super Bowl championship. Who are some of those guys? I wouldn't mind a Calais Campbell. I wouldn't mind that at all. Maybe a Sheldon Rankins on the defensive line too. Something like that. Some of those veterans that are maybe going to be around for, you can sign up for like a 2-year deal or something like that. That's kind of the players that I'm looking for in this free agency. They're not going to go out there and, they're not going to go get a, as much as I would love them, they're probably not going to go out and get a Devin Lloyd. Those top tier free agents that are just going to cash in. So you kind of scroll down, okay, I guess bargain is another way you can throw it out there as a term, or just some good value free agent signings to fill in some of these holes, to bring in some of those veterans. Because really, when you think about it too, Super Bowl 40, the Super Bowl 45 team, they were young in a lot of instances, but then you kind of really look at it, and some of the guys that they did bring in, okay, I mentioned Charlie Peppera. All right. Filling in for Morgan Burnett as when Morgan Burnett tore his ACL. Nick Collins, obviously, being back there was a huge boost, and Nick Collins, that's one of the biggest what-ifs if he doesn't get hurt. But, I mean, Peppera had been in the league for a few years. You got a veteran there. Eric Walden had been in the league for a few years. Howard Green had been in the league for a few years with the Jets. Plugging in some of those players, some of those losses with veteran players. That's kind of where I'd like to see. I know a couple of you have mentioned back in the day, but like a couple of weeks ago, I think, Surveyor, you were one of them, Kevin Zeitler. To bring in another veteran offensive lineman? Do you bring in a Demario Davis as a late, veteran linebacker? I don't know. I was looking at some of these free agency classes from the Packers in terms of like name recognition that really did not work out at all. Kind of forget about the 2002 free agent class, except for a couple of them. But that was was it 2002 or was it 2000? Well, maybe it was 2000. It was 2001. 2001. The two that you really know about is Joe Johnson and Hardy Nickerson. Joe Johnson, Hardy Nickerson. Terry Glenn was also part of that offseason class. That one, I think they traded a pick, if memory serves me correct. I'd have to double check, but I think they traded. Did they? Yeah. Yeah, they acquired Terry Glenn from the Patriots. Yeah, that's right. It was a trade for Terry Glenn. The other player that they brought in didn't make the roster, though. Giannis Carter, the former Cincinnati Bengal great running back for like a hot minute on the cover. I think it was at NFL Game Day 96, 97, maybe 98 for like PlayStation 1 and such. But, Giannis Carter, I forgot they brought him in for a hot minute. But you look at that, it was like, man, Terry Glenn, Hardy Nickerson, Joe Johnson. And then they bring in Giannis Carter. Mike Sherman was the GM at that time, too. That was the year they drafted Javon Walker. But Terry Glenn, I think, had a decent year for Green Bay that year. He didn't have 1,000 yards, but I think he was at 700. Here I go. 817 yards receiving, only a couple touchdowns, but yeah. And then he goes to Dallas. Ends up his last 2 years in Dallas, he had over 1,000 yards receiving and such. But remember the Terry Glenn era in Green Bay? Wow. All right, let's take our final break here. We'll be back here in just a couple minutes, wrapping up the second hour, heading into halftime. We got Badgers Chat coming up next hour. Tax season is here, and that refund check, well, hey, it's more than just extra spending money. It's an opportunity. This year, why not invest it right where you live? Upgrade your home with beautiful new flooring from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Whether you have been dreaming about warm, comfortable carpet, maybe some durable luxury vinyl planks like the innovative Ridge & Max flooring, or some waterproof options that are perfect for busy families, now is the time to make that happen. Your tax return can go a long way towards transforming the look and feel of your home. And at Carpet City Flooring Center, you'll find expert guidance, professional installation, and flooring options for every budget. Don't let that refund disappear on little things you won't remember next month. Put it towards something that you will see and enjoy every single day. Stop on in to Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire and turn your tax return into a home upgrade that you will love for years to come. We got about a few minutes left to the top of the hour here. So, again, coming up in about 20-ish minutes, we'll catch up with RJ Cardinal. Badger basketball wrapping up their regular season this week. Final home game tomorrow, taking on Maryland. You've got their final game of the season, taking on Purdue, coming up this weekend. We'll talk some hockey and such with RJ. So, we got that also coming up in the next hour. We'll get back to some more hoops chat with the Bucks. Giannis returning to the lineup last night, but Bucks still falling, even without Jaylen Brown for the Celtics. So, but we'll hit that up, talk a little hoops and such. Continue to send me your Toyson Ford at Grind My Gears Tuesday. Also, your Hy-Vee Game Changer picks. So you can hit me up with some of your nominations and selections with that as well. So we'll get to some more of your picks in a little bit here. We might get back to some more football chat as well. Coming up here, maybe later on and such. So. But I guess, yeah, Cullen Jenkins could technically be one, too. He was an undrafted rookie free agent signed by the Packers, so it'd be similar to a Sam Shields type of move, too. So, but definitely was a very underrated, solid player, too. So, but okay, you can continue to send those if you have now. We're just kind of looking for the best value free agent signings. Maybe kind of switch it up here and kind of focus maybe on the players that were not undrafted rookie free agents. So like the day after the draft is over with, the Packers sign them up. Maybe you're looking for somebody who started their career off with a different team and then signed up with the Packers. So maybe think of some of those players who started their careers with a different team, but maybe weren't big-time players and such, but then came to Green Bay and ended up developing into some solid contributors, some value picks. So we'll get back to some more of your picks coming up a little bit later on here too. So, but and then I do want to get back to some more Brewers chats. I know kind of spring training, we're getting into the World Baseball Classic and such and getting set for that. But hey, we got the Miz on the mound today as they scrimmage against Great Britain. So Packers. Brewers kind of taking things a little bit slower with some of their major arms or their arms that they're really counting on for this year. And kind of a fun article that Adam McCulvey wrote up on Brewers.com that I want to get to. I didn't get to chat about it a little bit earlier, but Pat Murphy, Brewers, we know they're one that doesn't shy away from themes and such. And get ready to hear about H&H Car Wash. I'll tell you what that's about. Again, nice, fun piece from Adam McCulvey at Brewers.com in case you didn't have to, or in case you didn't check it out yet. But essentially, it's revolving around the pitchers and kind of the different stuff that maybe they're asking them to do in that. So we'll get to that as we are not that far off. A few weeks away now from opening day for the Brewers when they take on the White Sox. So we probably, I would imagine here, probably more so after the World Baseball Classic because Brewers have quite a few players that are going to be playing on teams throughout the World Baseball Classic. But I would imagine shortly after that, then you're going to start to see kind of those roster cut downs and players getting, assigned to their minor league clubs and such too. So that'll probably be happening, I would guess, more so after the World Baseball Classic because these teams who have a lot of players participating in it, they're probably going to get a lot more action for some of their younger prospects and such. And maybe that's one way to look at it from the Brewers because we know Contreras is with playing in the World Baseball Classic, Chirio, Bryce Terang, all those guys. But an option for maybe some of these younger prospects that we've been hearing a lot about. It's going to be a heck of an opportunity for them. And I think they know it. And I think that's what the coaching staff is probably telling them. Hey, use it. Take advantage of this opportunity. Got a lot of our top guys that aren't playing. You're going to get increased playing time. Use it. Use it to your benefit. Showcase what you got. You're going to see that from a lot of guys. So probably more of like a preseason football type. You know what I mean? So, all right, shot clock right there. We have hit halftime. 2 hours in. We've got 2 more to go here. We'll take a quick break. We've got some news updates, and we'll be back to kick off the third quarter coming up after these quick words. All right, third quarter kicks off right now on this Tuesday morning. This Toyson Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday. What is grinding your gears, sports fans? Get it off your chest. Let us know. Hit us up with a quick text on a Shoe Doctor's bullpen line, or you can submit it on the YouTube chats on Man Cave TV. So we'll get to some of those coming up here in just a little while here, because coming up in about 15 minutes, we'll catch up with RJ Cardinal. We'll talk some Badgers with him. Badger Hoops wrapping up their regular season. Got Maryland tomorrow, Purdue on Saturday, and then the conference tournament, which should be a doozy, a good one. We'll talk some hockey as well with RJ. So all that is coming your way in about 15 minutes or so. We'll get back to some more baseball talk, some hoops and such as well. I want to get to some Bucks here to kick off this third hour. The Bucks were back in action last night. Giannis returning to the lineup. And with no Jaylen Brown, I was thinking, okay, Giannis is back. You're at home. Jaylen Brown isn't going to play. Maybe, just maybe, the Bucks would have an opportunity for a little bit of an upset. Nope, not the case. Not the case at all. 108-81, Boston Celtics victory. Giannis playing 25 minutes, leading the way in scoring for the Bucks. Double-double for him, 19 points and 11 rebounds. After that, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. Kevin Porter Jr. playing the most minutes, just 8 points. Only shot the ball 6 times last night. 3 of 6 from the field. This is, okay, I know it's only one game, and I don't want to overreact to just one game, but this is something that we were talking about last week. What is this team going to look like when Giannis comes back? What is it going to look like when he comes back? Minutes are going to be probably down for a lot of people, right? Minutes are going to be down for a lot of people. Scoring is going to be down for some people too. But how can they find that happy medium to where, Kevin Porter Jr. is still effective, where Ryan Rollins is still effective, and then you add in Giannis. And, well, one game, they weren't able to figure it out for whatever reason. So I hope they can fairly soon here, because time is running out. There's 3.5 games back from that final playoff spot in the Eastern Conference standings. And you look at it, if we kind of do, a little bit of scoreboard watching here. So they're chasing the Hornets right now. They're 3.5 back from the Hornets. Atlanta's in that 9th spot. That's who the Bucks have coming up tomorrow. And both Atlanta and Charlotte are playing some solid basketball. They're riding 4-game winning streaks right now. I guess if we were to look at the schedule for these teams and maybe kind of hope, okay, they got a tough stretch coming up here, and maybe the Bucks can take care of business that way. It's probably wishful thinking on that part, but you look at Atlanta, they got Milwaukee a couple times coming up here. They got Philly this Saturday. I'm just kind of looking at Orlando's on there, Golden State, Detroit, Boston, Orlando, the Knicks, couple games against Cleveland and Miami. So their last 4 games, they've got the Knicks, Cleveland, Miami. All right. Charlotte. Bucks don't have them anymore, but okay. So Charlotte's final 4 games is Minnesota, Boston, Detroit, and New York. And they got Boston a couple more times on there too, along with New York a couple times. So I don't think we can do that. I don't think we can kind of like look at the schedule for the rest of these teams here and try to get some hope. Milwaukee's just got to take care of their own dang business. And they got to start to figure some stuff out, because this is just absolutely ridiculous. The inconsistency and it looks like a mess. It looks like a mess. They look completely lost. Coaching looks completely lost. They've got no rhyme. They've got no rhythm. They've got no set rotation. Nothing. It looks like a team that you're handpicking at gym class at times and there's just like no feel. And you look at a team like Boston. You want to know why coaching matters still in the NBA? Look at a team like the Boston Celtics. This was supposed to be kind of a down year for Boston. Jason Tatum tore his ACL. They traded away Drew Holiday. They traded away Porzingis. They did all these kind of moves. Got rid of some cash. Yes, they still had Brown on there. But it was supposed to be a little bit of a down year this year for Boston. And here we are talking about Boston, 21 games above 500, competing in the Eastern Conference. And if Tatum comes back this year, will probably be a favorite to go to the NBA Finals. And a lot of that, I feel, has to do with their head coach, their leadership. Joe Mazzulla, the head coach for the Boston Celtics, he kind of has a little, I don't know if this is a Boston thing, kind of has a little Bill Belichick thing to him. If you ever watch his pressers and such, he's very like kind of Belichick-y that way. But don't say coaching isn't a big deal in the NBA. When you look at a team like Boston, leadership, the coaching to adjust, I mean, you've got Brad Stevens over there kind of running the front office. Not kind of, he is running the front office. And what Joe Mazzulla is doing, you talk about a pair that are on the same page and getting the job done. We talk about some of the, like, who's the best coach in the NBA. Eric Spoelstra gets mentioned a lot. Steve Kerr is going to be mentioned a lot. If Joe Mazzulla isn't top 5, then I don't know what we're doing here. He to me is you could say, well, he's had some really good rosters, such he has. But I think what he has shown this year is proof in the pudding for me that coaching still kind of matters in the NBA. And if you have that coach, that leader, that players respect, that players buy into the vision, like, because I'm sure there had to be a lot of even Boston fans saying, "No, this might be a wash year," with no Tatum and moving on from some of those guys and such. Nope. No, not the case. Not the case. I mean, you look at this Boston team, okay? In their starting lineup last night was a kid. He was the first-round pick in 2024, but how many people probably know Baylor Shireman? Maybe some diehard NBA fans do. Maybe you remember him from Creighton and such. He was in the starting lineup. This year for Boston, he's been averaging about 15.9 points per game. As of late, he's been actually getting a minutes increase. But, like who? That guy? Really? You got Sam Hauser on here, averaging 9.3 points per game right now. But you look at these guys, and you want to talk about complete team basketball. Off the bench, Luka Garza, the big man from Purdue. I mean, yeah, you got Peyton Pritchard, who is probably one of the best six man in the entire NBA and the entire association. Ron Harper Jr., for crying out loud, John Tonje's on this roster. Got a couple minutes of action last night, too. Hugo Gonzalez putting up 18 points. Hugo Gonzalez. This was the Celtics starting lineup last night. Hauser, Vuvacek, Derek White, Baylor Shireman, and Hugo Gonzalez. You've probably heard of 2 to 3. And we've heard of Sam Hauser because of Stevens Point. You've heard of Vukovic. You've heard of Derek White. Those others? No. You haven't. You've heard of Ron Harper Jr., who had 15 minutes off the bench because of his dad. But this is a team. This is a team. They're playing awesome defense. They're buying in to what the Celtics want to do, to what their coach wants to do, to what the front office is doing. They're clicking on all cylinders. And you get Tatum back in the fold, this is going to be a team to watch in the postseason. And I'm jealous. This is what I want for the Bucks. I want this for the Bucks. I don't know who that coach is going to be, but man, I'd like our own Mazzulla for the Bucks head coach. And think about it too. Really, the Celtics kind of maybe by happy circumstance fell into this, because remember their former head coach, Aduka, who's now with Houston, got into a little trouble, naughty stuff. Mazzulla is named interim head coach, and boy, that's worked out really well. All right, we got to take a quick break. We're going to switch gears, and we're going to talk some Badgers with Mr. R.J. Cardinal. We'll talk some hoops. We'll talk some hockey, all that fun stuff. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Reminder, Friday, March 20th. We're not in February anymore, guys. March 20th, we're going to be over at VFW Post 305 doing the program, and then it's our Hoops Skip Day. So if you have the day off, or maybe you take that day off so you can watch some college basketball and such, you can hang out with us at the VFW Post 305. We're going to be we're going to be buying you some beverages while supplies last. We've got a lot of prizes to be handing out as well. So put it on your calendars coming up here in just a couple weeks. It'll be our Hoops Skip Day at the VFW Post 305, located on Star Avenue right here in Eau Claire. And maybe one of those teams that we're going to be watching on Friday could be the Wisconsin Badgers. We don't know yet, obviously. Selection Sunday less than 2 weeks away. But let's talk some Badgers with our guy, Mr. R.J. Cardinal. Good morning, R.J. How are you doing?
Morning. Doing pretty well. How are you?
Not bad, man. It's hard to believe we're talking about the final week of the regular season for college basketball right now. But, hey, here we are. And, depending on let's go back a few days, because that Oregon game, man, I mean, how did that loss by the Badgers to Oregon maybe really diminish their chances to possibly get a 5 or 6 seed in the upcoming tournament, do you think?
Yeah. I guess if you went out by crushing Maryland and beating Purdue at Purdue, you have a shot of improving. But, I mean, I think we all know, and making a little run at the Big Ten tournament, because we all know by the time the Big Ten championship game rolls around, the brackets are already set. I think that's been prevalent the last few years when Wisconsin's made a huge dent and still maintained a seed of what people thought of had they, quote unquote, not made a run at the Big Ten tournament. So, win a couple games to end the season here. So win out, and then win 1 or 2 in the Big Ten tournament. Because, I mean, I think they're locked into the double bye, so they'll play Friday. Or Thursday? Is that a Thursday? That's a Thursday. Because it's now everybody in, and the Big Ten tournament starts on a Tuesday. So, you wouldn't play Tuesday or Wednesday, play Thursday. So, win a game Thursday, win a game Friday, get to Saturday, and you can improve your stock that way. But I think the loss to Oregon really hurt your chances of moving up any further, and it really puts your seed at the Big Ten tournament in the hands of others. So we'll see what happens, but take care of your own business, and things should hopefully fall into place.
But that game, I mean, that was kind of the example of what this Badger basketball team is probably is, right, RJ? I mean, outside shooting, 3-point shooting, something you've talked about. How many times this year, if that shot's not going down, it could be ugly. I mean, they weren't completely out of it right away, too. It's just it felt like, I mean, they shot a record 45 threes, and just, 17 of them went down? So, I mean, this is what you get with this team, isn't it?
Right. And you still have a lot of people who come out and say, then, well, why didn't anybody start going and crashing the hoop and things like that? I mean, I think we've seen this year that's not part of the game plan. Fast breaks, it can be, but even then we see people pull up from 3. So it is what we're going to see. It's why everybody says, as soon when they win or lose, everybody goes, wow, this team looks so great. But it's going to be that team that either makes a deep run in the NCAA tournament or can't make a bucket and flames out to somebody they should have beaten handily in the first round. So we're getting what we wanted in terms of people wanting to see the modernization of the Wisconsin offense. And right now, this is what basketball is. Hopefully, as people see this offense, you can get people who are more consistent on making threes and things like that. But right now, in terms of how people wanted Wisconsin to recruit and use the transfer portal, they're using an offense that, is what today's college basketball and basketball in general is. And it's like you said, it's live by the sword, die by the sword. if you're not used to it by now, buckle up. You're in for a nice ride as we get to the postseason here.
I mean, as you look at Carrington in that last game, 27 points. He had 30, was it 32? 27 coming from three, and the other 5 coming from the charity stripe and such. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a lot of threes right there, and I don't know if you could kind of count on that production when you get to the tournament either.
Yeah, well, and I mean, maybe not, a single game team record 9 3-pointers in a game, but yeah, definitely, he's at least been one that's been able to come off the bench and give you production. So he has been that guy so far this year for you. So that's good to see. And if he can have those kind of breakouts, I think the last person to come off the bench and score 30 or 25 plus was Rob Wilson. I forget what year, but in the Big Ten tournament that helped Wisconsin move on. So it's a rare feat that something like that happens, but it's at least showing there's bench production there, and I think that's something we've seen. Also been part of the issue where there's games where the bench has gone quiet, and hopefully as things progress here and they're working on that rotation. I mean, I think we're pretty set on rotation-wise anyway. We'll see, hopefully, consistency out of the bench to be able to come put points on the board, as well as have your hopefully entire team get hot and not have games where just everybody, including the bench, goes cold and you end up losing to teams like Indiana and Oregon.
Yeah, no kidding. So let me just kind of, I guess, ask this, RJ. Does this Badger team, and I know we haven't seen it quite a bit this year, but okay, say they get into a tournament game and that 3-point shot isn't falling. Do they got the talent to still win and overcome that, do you think?
I mean, I think you already said it. We've seen, we haven't seen it yet this year. I don't know. I mean, I guess there have been a couple of games where, they've come back and shot the lights out in the second half after, looking like it was just going to be another one of those. So I guess it's been a couple of times, but it's been against opponents who are in the bottom third of the Big Ten right now. So I'd love to say yes, but when you come to the tournament and you have to have your A game every day, or else, as a 2 seed or a 1 seed, now we've seen them lose. It'll be, I don't know if they have that capability come tournament time.
Man, dang. So, all right. Well, big week here potentially for Badger basketball and such. I'm going to ask for your prediction at the end. Remind me, where do you think they're going to get seeded number-wise? 7, 6, 8, 9, all that good stuff. So let's switch over to a little bit of hockey talk, shall we? Do you want to start with the men's side, because they're going to be taking on Penn State on this coming Thursday? It looks like. So Badger men's hockey coming off of, actually, was it, looking at the wrong schedule here. Coming off of, getting ready for Penn State's coming up here for Thursday and such. Give us a little bit of breakdown. Do you think they have the ability to go on a little bit of a run? Do they have that talent to do so, RJ?
Well, a couple of things need to happen. Right now they sit 4th in the Big Ten. There is a lot that can happen this weekend. Right now, Michigan is done playing. They have the weekend off. They're 2 points ahead of Michigan State in the standings, and Michigan State is taking on who do they have? They have Minnesota this weekend. Like, Minnesota hasn't been playing well, they're right just above Notre Dame in the standings. So Michigan State has a lot to play for this weekend. We'll see how that goes for them, and because they go to Minnesota for those games. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Ohio State And so we're behind Penn State in the standings, but Penn State's only 6 points behind Michigan State, so they could end up tying them if Michigan State gets swept. Michigan State's playing for the 1 seed. If Michigan State even gets a win, they gets 3 points on the weekend. They become the 1 seed. If we sweep Penn State, and we have to sweep them like in regulation, we would jump Penn State into 3rd place. Ohio State is 6 points behind us. I'm not sure how a tiebreaker there goes if we end up getting swept by Penn State. But essentially, and Ohio State's playing Notre Dame this weekend, who only has 3 wins in conference this year. So, and I believe that is in Columbus. So, almost have to assume Ohio State's going to get a sweep this weekend against Notre Dame, and Wisconsin and Notre Dame are pretty much locked into playing each other unless Minnesota does the unthinkable, sweeps Michigan State, and Ohio State loses at least 1 to Notre Dame. Minnesota jumps Ohio State. So really, the only team locked into their seed right now is Notre Dame as the team in last, because they're there behind Minnesota by 13 points in the standings. So it's a very volatile weekend this weekend. We can either be hosting Ohio State or Minnesota, or going to play Ohio State or Minnesota. If we could jump Penn State, and then that means we'd be hosting Ohio State or Minnesota, depending on how their series are going. So I think we're locked into playing Ohio State or Minnesota, depending on how those two finish and where Wisconsin finishes this weekend. So there's a lot to work for before we even think about a postseason run.
Man.
And after this past weekend, I think I saw Wisconsin moved up from 13 to 11. So wasn't not sure where they are in the other point system that the NCAA uses for the NCAA tournament, but it's looking more like Wisconsin is headed to the NCAA tournament. We just need a big weekend this weekend. Even a split with Penn State locks you into the 4 seed, and you'll host a weekend for the Big Ten hockey tournament, which will be the first time I think we've had a host Big Ten hockey game, tournament game. I can't remember. The only other one they would have hosted, and I'm not sure if it was this format yet, would have been in the 2020 season when nobody could go to games. So, it's, no, because we finished second to Michigan State 2 seasons ago. But like I said, I don't remember when they adopted the new form where every round is hosted by the higher seed, or the highest seed left, or each game goes to the highest seed's rank. So it'll be interesting. I'm not sure when that was adopted. So I can't really remember if Wisconsin ever hosted, because it used to travel to the highest seed's rink. Yeah, so we actually went to Michigan State for the Big Ten tournament because they just hosted the top 4 for semifinal and final. But so a lot to work for here this weekend before we even think of a run in the Big Ten tournament and a shot at the NCAA tournament. So this weekend really sets a lot of stuff up for Wisconsin. And you better, we saw when Penn State came and played here, you got to buckle up and be ready for pucks just getting thrown at you. So I know Wisconsin has the talent to hang with Penn State, but hopefully something clicks. And they're 6-4 on the road right now, 6-6 at home in the Big Ten. So hopefully you can keep a winning record on the road this weekend and at least get a split to host a game in the Big Ten tournament. I believe that would be March 11th. So hopefully everybody understood that whole scenario. That probably just took 10 minutes to explain.
It's probably a little easier on the women's side, right? They've got the WCHA final face-off with Minnesota State coming up on Thursday as well. But they probably have a little bit of an easier path, right, to get to the Frozen Four and maybe repeat as national champs.
Yeah. That one, they're the number one seed in the WCHA tournament, and they'll hopefully breeze past Minnesota State, and then look for the winner of Minnesota Ohio State. So looking forward to seeing what we get here. But yeah, I believe I don't know. I think this is the last weekend of home competition, or do they go right to Minnesota for the weekend?
I think they're in Minnesota. There? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, but yeah, they're pretty much already guaranteed a spot in the NCAA tournament. Probably will be the number one overall seed no matter what happens. Well, I mean, maybe if you lose to Minnesota State, you might be the 2 seed. But if you go ahead and make the championship game of the WCHA, I think they're going to be locked in as the number one overall seed and expected to be in the women's Frozen Four at least. And we'll see how things go from there. But yeah, a lot easier for the women. You are correct.
Well, I know we kind of dabbled into it a little bit last week with you, RJ, and such, but also we've got the Big Ten championships for a little wrestling. You're kind of a little bit of your forte and such. So have you been able to kind of take a look at it a little bit? And do we have any decent Badger chances when it comes to the Big Ten championships?
Judging by seedings, probably not this year, but I mean, there's always a chance you get some upsets. I mean, Wisconsin has ranked guys who have had upsets in conference duels this year, but probably not. But you're still looking at some qualifiers there. Really didn't get a good look at stuff last week. We ended up having reviewers for accounting in, so like most of my time was dedicated to that, and really didn't get the chance to step away. And then when I got home, I just crashed. So it was one of those weeks of, I had a lot of ideas, and those ideas didn't come to fruition. But you can have probably a couple of guys at least making a push to be in the semifinals. And if you get some upsets, maybe have a finals appearance in there. But overall, probably a good majority of the guys making the podium, and being able to get a little more than 2 or 3 NCAA qualifiers from the Big Ten tournament. So it's been a better year for Wisconsin prior than the last 2, and it should be one where Wisconsin can at least do a little bit of flexing and show hopefully that at least team-wide they're back to being a more competitive team, which I think they've done this year. Really, outside of some of the better powers in the NCAA, they have kind of flexed and said, you know what, we know we're better than some of these other teams, and they're starting to show it again. So that's good to see. But probably no Big Ten champs this year, but hopefully maybe 6 or 7 guys making the NCAA tournament.
So back to college basketball, I did see Joe Lenardi updated his latest bracketology about 40 minutes ago. No change for Wisconsin. Still has them as a 7 seed, where they would play Texas in the first round, and if they were to win, they would probably play Houston in the next round here and such. So, all right, RJ, what's your prediction? Are you going to go with Lenardi and think that they're probably going to be around a 7 seed when it comes to? Well, I guess we got time for Selection Sunday. What am I talking about? We got another week. I'm thinking Selection Sunday's this weekend. No, we're talking conference tournament stuff, man. So
right.
Yeah,
I think as long as you beat Maryland and then win that first game in the NCAA or the Big Ten tournament, you'll stay a 7 seed. You drop one to Maryland, you'll drop, and if you do a game because I think pretty much nationally people are just going to assume Wisconsin's going to lose at Mackey Arena on Saturday. So you could just throw that one out that's already an assumed loss. I don't think anybody will take away top. Are they still ranked in the top 10? Because they were 8th, but they lost, so
No.
probably not anymore. Top 15, a top 15 loss. Wisconsin once again playing still not as many quad 1 games as last year, but still there's teams that are ranked that have more quad 2 losses than Wisconsin does, but with the same amount of quad 1 losses Wisconsin does, and it really doesn't make any sense to me outside of where people started preseason. And based on their name rather than looking at Wisconsin as an unranked team coming into the season, and people still just assuming Wisconsin, because after 3 seasons of it, you hear nationally people are still like, well, it's not your grandpa's Wisconsin or even your brother's, and it's like, come on, man, they've been scoring 80+ points for the past 3 seasons now and winning games. Sometimes in dominant fashion, and with some pretty big upsets along the way. But I think people are still just reading Wisconsin and just docking them for the name on the front of the jersey. So it'd be nice if you got some credit for really having only 2 bad losses on the year. But it is what it is, and I think Wisconsin probably is plateaued at a 7 seed unless the committee actually is doing some research and doesn't like what they see from the bracketologists.
Well, before I let you go, I know we've got the women's side of things, and Wisconsin's the 15 seed in the Big Ten Conference Tournament. They finished 5-13 for a conference record, 13-16 overall. Losing 9 in a row right now to finish the regular season, RJ. Overall, I mean, at times we did talk, I would say, there was a lot of, at the beginning stages of the season for them, some positive stuff, some good stuff. And, I know they've got some really good recruits coming. I know we've got Abby from Rice Lake. That's the finalist for Miss Wisconsin basketball. That's going to be going down there and playing. Would you say, even with how things have finished with Wisconsin, there's still maybe some positives to kind of take away from the season and look forward, or is it almost business as usual right now for this program?
I wouldn't say it's business as usual. You're 13-6 on the year, or 13-16 on the year. That's a lot better than we've seen over the past few years. Sure, like you said, they're on that losing streak right now, but I'm not sure what kind of rotation they're doing, how deep in the bench they're going. There could be some tired arms going on here. I'd love to say I've paid attention outside of just box score watching, but I haven't. It's one of those things I still need kind of approve it that something's actually changed. I mean, the good news is players are actually talking after games now.
Yeah.
I don't think they're on a media gag because they'll slip at their coach verbally and sometimes accused of verbally and physically abusing them from time to time. But I mean, you're the top 7 teams in the conference, and I think at one time, I think Washington and USC were also ranked. So that's 9 teams at least at one point in time or another were ranked in the season. So the Big Ten's a pretty darn good conference, and I mean, it was a good step in the right direction this year. At least they looked like there were competence in there. They have 2 wins versus AP ranked teams in 9 games. So, I mean, I don't know when the last time that happened was. I know there were some posts about it, but they also defended the home court, 11-5 at home, 2-9 on the road. So, you ran into a buzzsaw. You were 5-2 in conference at one point. Now you're, it is what it is. You like to see the competitiveness They seem to improve over the year up to a point, but maybe they can get a win here in the Big Ten tournament. Hopefully, you get an invite to maybe a postseason tournament. Gives you a chance to keep playing, and just a few more things for people to get some court time, and you go from there. And hopefully, this recruiting class coming in, like you said, there's some girls from Wisconsin who actually committed to Wisconsin, so that was awesome to see. And moving forward, hopefully it's a turning point for a program that has in the past fired coaches who were hovering around 500, held on to coaches who were well below 500 for too long, and hired somebody who's accused of things you would never send one of your children to go through. There's been nothing but volatility in this program for so long that hopefully they have a coach who can be at least a beacon in the right direction for however long she'll be here. I know she's on the latter half of her coaching career, but it'll be interesting to see what happens to this team moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, RJ, appreciate the time. I think, pretty soon we're going to have to, we got spring football practice. We're going to have to kind of maybe preview and chat about coming up here too. We're getting close to that, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, I think they go to, they're doing lifting and all that kind of stuff right now. And they're pretty much putting all their 15 spring practices after spring break now. So
okay.
Once that happens, I think we'll be heading into spring practices and get all the good stuff, see what some of the transfers have to offer, at least in spring ball, and then we can speculate whether that means the offense is going to be better or the defense will be better, or if that means, the offense really sucks and the defense is just looking good, or vice versa. So, a lot of fun to speculate when you're just going up against your own teammates and all that. And the media, as of late, has been getting shut out of a lot of stuff. So, it'll be a fun spring, and we'll maybe have another launch to go see at the end of it.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, RJ, hey, appreciate the time as always, buddy. Enjoy the rest of the week, and we'll catch up with you again next week. Okay, sir?
Absolutely. We will talk to you then.
You got it. There you go. There's RJ Cardinal joining us here this morning. All right, we got to take a quick break, but we'll be back with plenty more coming up after these few words. Got to play a little catch up, so we do have to take another quick break here before the top of the hour, and then we hit into the final hour of the program. But quick reminder, you can pre-register, pre-sign up right now for our bracket challenge. Just go to sportstalk1051.com. Click on that Fan Cave tab and scroll all the way down to the bottom. While you're there, too, you might see a chance for you to nominate a kiddo to go to a Brewers game in May, going up against the Dodgers when the Dodgers come to Milwaukee. So this is through our Backyard Dreams program, partnered up with Superior Auto Body. We want to send a kiddo maybe to their first Brewers game, or maybe they're just, you know what, stuff's going on, and this could be a nice boost to their morale and such. We want to help out. So nominate that child today by going to sportstalk1051.com and clicking on that Fan Cave tab, and you'll see the nomination down there below. So that's going to be coming up here, and we're going to announce a winner by next week. So you only got a few days. So make sure you get over there. If you got somebody in mind and such, make sure you get over there to that website right now and nominate that child. Okay, nominate that child before we close the nomination. We'll have some more stuff throughout the year too for Backyard Dreams and such too. But again, a big thanks to our friends at Superior Auto Body for partnering up with us with Backyard Dreams this year. So, all right. With that, like I said, got to take a really quick break here to wrap up the third hour. Playing a little bit from behind here. So we'll have a busy final hour coming up in just a little bit. We'll get back to some more hoops talk. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk as well. Maybe throw a little bit more football chat into the equation as well in the final hour. So, all right, final break for this hour. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. All right, just a couple minutes left, not even minute left to the top of the hour. To kick off the next hour, I want to go through Tom Silverstein's latest piece on the Packers from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, including a little bit of a nugget about Rich Bisaccia. By the way, if you missed it, Rich Bisaccia is going to the college ranks, going to Clemson, joining up with them. We'll tell you what some sources told Tom Silverstein about the Rich Bisaccia move and such, and maybe a little bit of an insight into the vibe of the locker room. So, but yeah, we'll hit that up to open up the next hour on that. We'll get back to some more hoops chats. Bucks falling yesterday, even with Giannis returning into the lineup. We'll throw a little bit more baseball chat in here with the final hour. It's your last call for some Toys Ford to grind my gears Tuesday. What's grinding your gears? Sports fans, get it off your chest. Share it with the rest of the class. Also, final call for any Hy-Vee game changers you may have. So, all right, 3 quarters in, the final quarter, the final hour coming up after these news updates. All right, it is the final hour kicking off right now on this Tuesday morning. Thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate it, no matter how you're tuning in, if it's on the radio dials or maybe online, the video stream, all that fun stuff. We're going to talk some hoops, get back to some Bucks chats. We've got a little baseball chats coming your way. Brewers are going to be back at it today. Exhibition game going up against Great Britain as Great Britain gets set for the World Baseball Classic and such. But we're going to see the Miz on the mound. Get a glimpse of Jacob Mizorowski today. That game, however, will not be on the radio dials. Won't be on our radio dials. So next one that'll be on the radio is going to be tomorrow, the 4th, right? Yep, tomorrow the 4th when they take on the Chicago Cubs. So yesterday we heard the news that Rich Bisaccia is going to be going to the college world, going to be joining up with Clemson. It was an interesting piece by Tom Silverstein, longtime Packers reporter for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. And I thought there was a couple of interesting nuggets here. He talked a little bit about, the Players Association grades and such, and Rich Bisaccia's departure and such. Let me start off with the departure. This was from Tom Silverstein from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. There was considerable buzz at the Combine last week that Rich Bisaccia's departure was related to some disagreements with Matt LaFleur. But a source close to the longtime coordinator said Bisaccia told him his decision was made so he could be closer to his family home in Florida. It was curious that Bisaccia's departure was announced a day after Vegas filled the last open position with their hire, and it led to some special teams coaches speculating he was trying to stick it to LaFleur by waiting so long to make his decision. But another source vehemently denied Bisaccia waited for any reason other than a desire to be closer to his family year-round. Bisaccia returned to the Packers offices from his time off at his Florida home after the season, a source said, and was working as normal when he concluded he couldn't give the commitment necessary to continue as an NFL special teams coordinator. So, yeah, I mean, that kind of fits Clemson being closer to Florida and such. But I thought this was kind of an interesting part here, too, from Tom Silverstein. Though Bisaccia's decision was for personal reasons, the perception coming out of the Combine was that there was a problem, and Matt LaFleur might have to deal with that. He had no shortage of interested candidates for Bisaccia's job, so it didn't affect him when hiring a replacement, but it's something that could pop up later. Coaches pay attention to those things when they're considering new jobs, and people inside the building unaware of why Bisaccia left might wonder if the rumors are true. It's not an enormous problem, but something LaFleur should be aware of if he wants to improve the team's culture. And then he kind of goes in about the Players Association grades. And he said, as one league source said, the grades don't necessarily reflect how the entire locker room feels, because players who are disgruntled may be more motivated to fill out the survey than others. In addition, the Packers bombed late in the season, and the way in which they lost 2 games to the Bears isn't going to make anyone feel good about the club in general. Multiple players talked after the season about how the Packers weren't capable of finishing games, which is both a slight on themselves and the coaches. The fact that the Packers couldn't counter the furious comebacks the Bears made in both victories, including a season-ending playoff loss, may have caused players to lose faith in LaFleur. I would agree, and it's not like my opinion matters in that thing, but I would agree, when it comes to that sort of stuff with the grades and such, do you have the disgruntled players? Do you have the players that are going out there such? But I also agree with Tom Silverstein when he makes the note, regardless, LaFleur has to take it seriously. He has to take it seriously. And it's something that, we kind of said too last week when those grades were leaked and such. I hope he takes it seriously. I hope he sits there and looks at it and says, okay, even if it's just a few disgruntled players or whatever it may be, I would still take it incredibly serious and do some self-reflection and take a look at it and like, okay, what do I got to do to get better? If they still have that leadership council with their players, we've heard that once in a while that the Packers have this leadership council that is made up of players and such. And LaFleur's talked about it too with, some of the leaders in the locker room. Talk to them. So we'll kind of see how it goes, how it transpires. We're not going to know until the season gets going here. I know Pete Daughtry said too, it's kind of, I think it was in one of his chats the other day, he made a note, if let's say in 2 years, even with the extension of 2 years, it's kind of status quo and maybe they're not taking that next step or getting to a Super Bowl and such, then maybe Green Bay kind of makes that change and such. But today is the deadline for tags, franchise tags, all that stuff as we get set for the league year starting up next week. Packers more than likely not going to do it. I'd be surprised if they put a tag on there too. But I think the big one's going to be, what do the Colts do? Do they put a tag on Daniel Jones? They got Alec Pierce, who's going to probably get a nice payday as a wide receiver. The Falcons tagged Kyle Pitts. Cowboys tagged George Pickens. There could be some tags for Breece Hall with the Jets. Jets already said they tag if they can't come to a deal. No, there's some talk about Trey Hendrickson. But do the Colts potentially put a tag out there? And if Daniel Jones does become a free agent, how does that change a little bit of the landscape when it comes to free agency? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's still a foregone, and I'm sure he probably would still rather stay with the Colts. But if he's technically available, does that open the door for another team to swoop in and try to pick him up that will give him a big-time offer? And I was looking on social media there was also a mention about the Vikings. But again, would he want to go to the Vikings knowing it might be a short-term thing? He probably wants long-term stability. But that would be an interesting one. And it's not to say that they couldn't sign him, even if they don't put the franchise tag on him, that they don't sign him before free agency opens and before next week too. They still can. It's just that's going to be kind of, I think, we foregone conclusion that Daniel Jones was going to go back to the Colts, and I think eventually it still is going to happen. But maybe a team looks at that and says, "All right, we'll shoot our shot. We'll try to see if we can maybe kind of put an offer in front of him and maybe have him think about it and that." But I don't know. Oh, we got the comp picks coming in here. Oh, Green Bay got a 7th round comp pick. Oh, this is a projection. All right. So the projection is that Green Bay would have a 7th round or 2 7th-round picks. Okay, missed them on the bottom there. 2 7th-round picks with Eric Wilson and Josh Myers. Now, remember, the highest comp picks that these teams can get are 3rd rounds. So kind of maybe if we're looking at next year, like Minnesota's going to get a 3rd rounder for Sam Darnold. Philly's going to get a 3rd rounder for Milton Williams. So maybe kind of with the Malik Willis, the Romeo Dobbs, and the Rasheed Walker picks, maybe some 3rds mixed in with some 4th round picks. I think Green Bay would love that coming into the draft for next year. So, all right. Let's take a quick break. Let's get to some hoops chat. Bucks. Giannis returned yesterday. Didn't matter. They still lose, even without the Jaylen Brown. Now what? Time's running out for this Bucks team. I don't care that you can say there's a quarter left of the season. There are a few games. No, time is running out. I'm pushing the panic button if it hasn't already been pushed by a lot of people. All right. This is, it's frustrating. The Bucks are my Toyson Ford grind my gears Tuesday. Just when you start to feel maybe a little bit good about them. Just maybe when you start to feel, hey, maybe if they can squeeze in here, maybe they can make some noise. Maybe they could be that little bit of a dangerous team or whatever. You lose 3 in a row. Do you agree with Bobby Portis when he said last night after the game that it's fool's gold? That it's fool's gold. That 8-2 stretch in those 10 games that they had. Do you agree with him that it was fool's gold? We'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll get to some baseball talk. We're going to get, as I mentioned, Miz is scheduled to pitch. Ashby is scheduled to pitch. Koenig is scheduled to pitch today, too. So some arms that could be, well, some pivotal players for the Brewers this season. All right, we'll take a quick break and back with more coming up after these quick words. So the Milwaukee Bucks open up today, March 3rd, 3.5 games out from the final playoff spot. A lot of finger pointing, a lot of, well, let's just keep it clean, questioning of one head coach, Doc Rivers, and I'm one of them. And I don't like to call for people to get fired and all that. Just it's weird, but I understand it. In this case and such, name anything that has been positive since Doc Rivers has been hired as head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, it's bad. So if I'm one that doesn't like to always get on that bandwagon, because I think that's such an easy thing for a lot of fans is to get on a bandwagon to sit there and call for the firing of coaches and players. I want them to succeed. I want them all to succeed because that means that my team's succeeding. But if I'm on there now too, that means it must be really bad. And right now it's really bad. But I want to throw another name into consideration here. We want to point the finger. We want to point the blame at somebody. And right now, you look at Doc Rivers, and I think that's probably still number one. But where does John Horst, the Bucks general manager, fit into this equation too? Because on one hand, I look at this roster. I'm looking at this Bucks roster, and I feel like they've got some talent, that they've got some good players, obviously outside of Giannis, but Ryan Rollins has had a great season. Kevin Porter Jr. has had a great season. They've got some players on. We know about Bobby Portis and such. And I look at, what the Celtics have been doing with a hodgepodge of different players, and they're having success. And that's, I think, is an example of why coaching still freaking matters in the NBA. To bring in a coach that sets the tone, that sets the culture. Everybody buys in. There's a vision. Everybody understands it. Everybody understands the goal. Right now, listening to these Bucks games, I'm just sitting there scratching my head. I'm like, so who are we? What is the goal? What are we trying to accomplish here? What are we trying to do? Celtics, they play really good defense. They shoot a lot of threes. We just know that the Bucks, they're pretty decent at making some threes. Everything else is like, ugh. But I feel like nobody's buying in it, and it just feels like it's organized chaos a lot with the Bucks. And that's a lot with coaching. But how would you assess the job that John Horst has done during his tenure as the general manager for the Milwaukee Bucks? So, John Horst, he originally was the director of basketball operations for the Bucks from 2008 to 2017. He then became the general manager in June of 2017, taking over for John Hammond. Horst won the 2019 NBA Executive of the Year award. Obviously was GM when the Bucks won their NBA championship in 2021. When you look at it from when he's been a general manager in 2017, remember he did not draft Giannis, so that was John Hammond. And you look at the job that he has done, how would you kind of assess it? How would you grade it? Helped build that team, brought in Drew Holiday, brought in PJ Tucker to pair up with Giannis and Middleton and such to bring that championship. But you look at it from a whole picture. How would you assess the job that he's done? Let's go to his first year as GM. Okay, started off Jason Kidd as coach. They made a move, and Joe Prunty filled in. They finished the season 44-38, 7th in the Eastern Conference. The following year, 2018 to 2019, they hired Mike Budenholzer and completely change it. 60-22. They finished first in the NBA Eastern Conference losing in the conference finals to the Toronto Raptors after they had that early lead too, and they were just kind of cruising. They went 4-0 against the Pistons in the first round. They went 4-1 against Boston in the second round. They were first in defensive rating, fourth in offensive rating that season. Then the following year, 56-17, first in the Eastern Conference again, falling in the semis to the Miami Heat. And then the following year after that, they win the NBA championship. The year after the NBA championship, they lose in the Eastern Conference semis. And then they haven't won a playoff series since then. 2022-23 season, they lose in the first round to Miami. 23-24, hires Adrian Griffin for like half the season. Joe Prunty coaches 3 games, and then the hiring of Doc Rivers. They lose in the first round. And then here we are to this day with this Bucks team. Oh, I should say 2024-25. Doc Rivers goes 48-34. The Bucks finish 5th in the Eastern Conference. They lose in the first round, and now here we are, 26-34 overall. You look at some of the moves that John Horst has made, and he's been uber aggressive. I don't think there's any denying that. Draft? What draft? I mean, you're trading picks, and the guys you draft, they're not sticking around long enough to really do anything, which I get it. You're in a win now mode, and you probably want production right now at this second, right at this minute. So they're a little antsy when it comes to that. But I mean, look at the pick. Let me look up in Bucks draft picks since 2017. So DJ Wilson, 2017. Remember DJ Wilson? Yeah, that was their first round pick. DiVincenzo might actually be his best pick, and he's not even playing with them anymore. Well, okay, strike that. Maybe it is Kevin Porter Jr., but then they traded him, and then they got him back. R.J. Hampton, Jordan Nora, Isaiah Todd, Marjan Beauchamp, Chris Livingston, A.J. Johnson, Tyler Smith. I mean, so what draft? You look at the trades of acquiring Eric Bledsoe, signing him, wasn't working. They ship him off. They bring in Drew Holiday. The Drew Holiday move was probably his best move because, in part, it got them off of that Eric Bledsoe contract. The Drew Holiday trade was probably the best move that John Horst made. I mean, the Dame trade came out of nowhere. Nobody was expecting that. And I understood it. A lot of us understood it at that time. Like, okay, we need another scorer. We need another shooter. And it didn't work. And yes, injuries have been a big factor when these teams have gone to the playoffs, and it's kind of derailed them. You don't have your top players available in the playoffs because of injuries, you're probably not going to win too many games. The Horst debate's interesting to me because you can look at some of the moves and some of the decisions he has made. And then on one hand, you go, okay, how many of those decisions were made because that's what Giannis wanted? How many of those decisions were made because we are obviously in a win now mode, so we're trying to get players in here that can help us win right now, which means that is going to mortgage our future, and we're going to have to give up a lot of assets for that. You know, where do you balance that? Where do you balance that? I think, perhaps one of the worst moves has been his decisions when it's come to coaching. And then, again, to be fair, how much of that is coming all from him? Is there some of it coming from the ownership group, the pressure from there? Like, who, for real now, like 100% for real, what was the decision on Adrian Griffin? Was it because, as some rumors out there say, Giannis wanted to change? But then there was other rumors saying that Giannis wanted Adrian Griffin as the head coach. So again, it goes back to the question, who do you put most of the blame on? The complete downfall of this team started with their inability to find a viable replacement for Mike Budenholzer. That's when it started. We could sit here and debate whether they should have fired Mike Budenholzer or not. The fact that they failed to find a adequate complement, just a better fit at the head coach is what I think has been the biggest downfall of this team. They tried Adrian Griffin. Yeah, they were winning a bunch of games. There was just this weird vibe, and maybe it was just because it was still new. And then you bring in Doc Rivers, longtime veteran, and it hasn't been working out. And now you're just kind of sitting there scratching your head, and we're going to approach this off season where it's going to be all about Giannis again. Will he stay? Will he go? Will he stay? Will he go? But I think John Horst, he 100% should be viewed in this as part of the problem, part of the reason why we're in this hole that we're in right now. He's part of the issue. He's done some good things. He's done some great things. I don't want to take that away. I mean, it hasn't been a complete, it hasn't been a complete awful job performance from him. He was the general manager that helped lead this team to an NBA championship. And those moves, bringing in Drew Holiday, bringing in a PJ Tucker to kind of help fortify that roster, they were huge. They were instrumental. But since then, been questionable at best. All right, Bucks will be back at it tomorrow as they take on the Atlanta Hawks, one of the teams that they're chasing for that final playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. But both the Hawks and the Hornets, they're playing some solid basketball right now, riding a 4-game winning streak. We'll take a quick break. Back after these few words. World Baseball Classic is getting closer to be said. We got the Brewers taking on Great Britain today in an exhibition game. John Morosi, who covers Major League Baseball, MLB Network, and such, he's got a prediction for the World Baseball Classic. He just posted out there a few minutes ago. Jackson Chourio will star for Venezuela at the World Baseball Classic and make the all-tournament team. Dude only turns 22 during this tournament. 22 years old. What were you doing when you were getting set to be 22 years old? I just finished up college. Just finished up, right? Yeah, 21. Turned 21 there. No. Yeah, I wasn't. Oh, no, I'm just blanking. Okay. Yeah, I was 22 when I graduated college. There you go. Yeah, college, 5 years. Summer birthday. So, no way would I be entering my third year at the Major League Baseball level and having all that big-time money and such. But, man, if he can go out there and star for his team in the World Baseball Classic and such, and maybe carry that over to the Milwaukee Brewers, that'd be a huge boost for this team. Man. We're talking a little bit, I was in the second hour and such, because you got some more projections and predictions out there, about who's going to make the playoffs and such. And there's some now that are giving the Pirates a better playoff chance, a better chance of making the playoffs than the Brewers. There's some of those prediction markets out there that's doing that. And I get it. You look at what the Pirates did this offseason. Sure, yeah, their roster got a little bit better. Yeah, this was from Codify, okay? Codify Baseball. They gave one team a 90 to 100% chance of making the postseason. Surprise, surprise, it's the Dodgers. The other team, they only have one team from 80 to 90%. This was a little bit of a surprise, but 80 to 90%, they gave a chance to make the postseason. That was the Braves. 70 to 80% is the Mets, the Tigers, the Yankees, and the Mariners. 60 to 70% Phillies, Toronto, Cubs. 50 to 60% Boston and Baltimore. And here we go, 40 to 50% the Pirates. And they've got the Brewers mixed in with the Royals, the Giants, the Texans, the Rangers, the Diamondbacks, and the Rays, a 30 to 40% chance to make the playoffs. Seriously, we as Brewers fans, we don't get upset or annoyed with this anymore, right? I mean, it is what it is. How many times have we gone through this? How many times have we looked at this and said, yep, everybody's kind of just sleeping on the Brewers again? BetMGM. There's a little bit more love. There's a little bit more hype surrounding the Pirates. And I wonder if it's because, they've got this stud young player who's just raking in the spring trade. But BetMGM has the Pirates as the most bet on team to go over their projected win total this year. Followed by the White Sox and then the Rockies. So, that's from 2023. That's an old one. So, we'll see. I still think a lot of people are overlooking the Brewers and such, but that's why they play the game, right? We'll see how it all plays out. But we get Miz on the mound today. We're going to see Miz. We're going to see Ashby. Looks like we're going to see Jared Koenig. We're going to see Kyle Harrison. So, yeah, this is from our good friend Dominic Cotterino. Covers the Brewers post-game and such. Jacob Mizorowski, Aaron Ashby, Jared Koenig, and Kyle Harrison are scheduled to pitch today against Great Britain. So, the Miz is such a, man, I mean, all these guys, all these pitchers, Harrison, Patrick, Miz, Priester, they're such wild card. And I get these prediction markets and these odd makers or such are down on the Brewers because, the Brewers are putting a lot of their faith and are putting a lot of, on the shoulders of their younger guys. And a lot of these prediction markets and such, they want for sure things, or they want, if you're going to make these projections and such, they want to base it off of the players that they maybe have a better idea of. But if there was a team with the amount of talent, if there was a ranking of potential, like untapped potential and such, I would have to imagine the Brewers would be right up there towards the top. Because I'm sorry, but if all those pitchers hit, I know for some it might be a big if, but if Miz takes that next step and becomes the pitcher that a lot of people think he can be, if Chad Patrick even takes another step, if Quinn Priester continues to get better, Brandon Woodruff stays healthy, and I know this might be a lot of big ifs for people, but, I mean, think about it. Logan Henderson's, Robert Gassers, et cetera, Harrison's, Sproats, all those guys, all that potential, if that hits this year, what stops the Brewers? What stops them from making it back to the postseason? Offensive side here, too. Okay, Jackson Cheerio in his third year. Kind of maybe all comes together now, and he stays healthy as a big part of that. Boom. Bryce Harang continues to play incredibly well. There's still a lot to like for this Brewers team. So I kind of like, let's just go under the radar. Let's be the wild card again. The wild card as in nobody's giving them any, attention, respect, and here they are just winning a bunch of ball games again. There's a really fun article on Brewers.com by Adam McCulvey. If you have a chance, it's a really quick read. But as he says, get ready to hear all season about the H&H Car Wash, which is Pat Murphy's reference to the Brewers' knack for putting pitchers through the process with pitching coach Chris Hook and pitching coordinator Jim Henderson, the aforementioned H&H, and seeing them come out better on the other side. As McCulvey noted, examples are plentiful. Last year, the Brewers plucked Quinn Priester from Boston's AAA roster and went on to win 19 consecutive games in which he pitched. The year before, they helped Tobias Myers transform from a pitcher who went 1-15 at AAA 2 years earlier and turned a demotion to AA into Milwaukee's Most Valuable Pitcher Award winner. Trevor McGill and Jared Koenig went from pieces on the edge of other teams' bullpens to high-leverage beasts for the Brewers. It goes on, and the Brewers wouldn't be three-time defending NL Central champions, Murphy says, without their H&H duo. I love that. I think it's kind of fun. I'm not going to read the whole thing for you and such, but yeah. That's kind of what the Brewers, that's why it's just become of a known thing. They bring in a pitcher, they bring in a younger pitcher. There's almost this foregone conclusion they're probably going to make that guy better. A little bit more here. It says, on Sunday morning, there was a query about organizational newcomer Kyle Harrison, who hasn't yet appeared in a Cactus League game, but instead has been working on the side and in simulated games with Hook and Henderson. Harrison, a 24-year-old left-hander, who already has parts of 3 years of big league experience with the Giants and Red Sox, was the centerpiece of this six-player trade that sent Caleb Durbin to Boston. Murphy said, quote, we're making tweaks with a kid like Harrison. There's things that we're doing. We ran him through the H&H car wash. Well, maybe we'll get a little bit of a glimpse of that today. All right, we got to take our final break, and we'll start to wrap up things. We got some picks and such, so we'll hit that up. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. All right, let's start to wrap up things this morning. We've got some picks to get to. We'll do a little college hoops. We've got some NHL games and some NBA games here too. We'll start it off in the NHL world. Pittsburgh at Boston. I'll go with the Bruins. Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Sabres of Buffalo. Give me Buffalo. Florida at New Jersey. I'll ride with the Panthers. Utah at Washington. We'll go Washington. Nashville at Columbus. I'll go with the Blue Jackets. Chicago taking on Winnipeg. I'll go with Winnipeg. Dallas and Calgary. I'll go with the Stars. Ottawa, Edmonton. Give me Edmonton. Tampa Bay at Minnesota. Oh, yeah, I got to go Tampa Bay. Colorado at the Ducks. Come on, give me Anaheim. And then Montreal at San Jose. I will go with Montreal. Let's do some college basketball games here. A wide slate here. Tennessee at South Carolina. Give me the Volunteers. TCU at Texas Tech. I'll go with Texas Tech. Wake Forest, Virginia. Yeah, give me Virginia. Clemson, North Carolina. Give me the Tar Heels. Georgetown, St. John's. I'll go with St. John's. Toledo at Miami, Ohio. Undefeated so far, 29-0. But Bruce Pearl doesn't think that they should be in the tournament. If they shouldn't be an at-large team in the tournament. So, well, I guess we'll find out if they lose in the conference tournament or such, if they're going to get in. They're going to get in. But, yeah, I'm going to go Miami, Ohio. There was a couple other ones I wanted to pick up on here. Mississippi State at Florida. Yeah, Florida. Purdue, Fort Wayne at Green Bay. Let's go, Green Bay. Let's go. The Fighting Doug Gottliebs. Oregon at Illinois. I'm going to go Illinois. Kansas at Arizona State. Give me Kansas. Vandy at Ole Miss. I'll go with Vanderbilt. BYU at Cincinnati. Man, BYU is really coming down here. Cincinnati's even favored in this game. I'll go BYU, though. And then Nebraska at UCLA. UCLA is favored by 1.5. I'm still going to go with Nebraska in this game. NBA schedule. We've got the Mavericks taking on the Hornets. Give me the Hornets, although we need the Mavericks to win if you are a Bucks fan. Hornets are favored by 12.5 in this one, by the way. Detroit at Cleveland should be a really good one. I'm going to go with Cleveland in this one. Washington at Orlando. Give me the Magic. Brooklyn, Miami. Give me the Heat. Knicks, Toronto. I'm going to go Toronto. San Antonio, Philadelphia, give me the Spurs. OKC versus the Bulls, give me the Thunder. Memphis at Minnesota, give me the Timberwolves. Pelicans and the Lakers, I'll go with the Lakers. Phoenix and Sacramento, I will go with the Suns. So, as we are getting close to the mathematical final quarter of this regular season here for the NBA, quick look at the standings. Detroit still in the top spot in the Eastern Conference. Boston's 5 games back. They're second. New York third. Cleveland fourth. Toronto fifth. Philly sixth. You're playing around right now. Orlando and Miami battling it out for that spot, 7th and 8th spot. They're tied up there. Orlando's 31-28. Miami's 32-29. They both have a .525 win percentage. So Atlanta 500, 31-31. They're the 9th seed. Charlotte, 30-31. And then you've got the Bucks. But the Bulls now are just 1.5 back from the Bucks here, for crying out loud. But Western Conference side of things, OKC holding on to that top spot. You've got the Spurs 3 games back. They're in the 2nd spot. Houston Rockets 3rd. Timberwolves 4th right now. They're 8.5 back from that top spot. Denver, it's you look at 3 through 6 right now. It's all separated by just 2 games. So Denver's the 5th. Lakers are the 6th seed, but they're just 2 games back from Houston for that 3rd seed. Then in the play-in round, you've got the Phoenix Suns, the Golden State Warriors, the Clippers, and the Trailblazers. And it kind of looks like it's going to be that way because the next closest team, Memphis, is 4.5 back from the Trailblazers. So, all right. So coming up tomorrow, it's already making a turn Wednesday. So we'll what do we got on the dockets for our Wednesday tomorrow? We'll do a little Am I Wrong, brought to you by Mike's Star Markets. So think about that's your homework assignment. Think about your Am I Wrongs, that sports opinion, that sports take. sports thought, where you'd be like, am I wrong? Am I wrong for thinking that? Am I wrong for saying that the Packers should do this? Am I wrong for saying that everybody's sleeping on the Brewers and they're going to go to the World Series? Just thinking, throwing examples out there. That's your homework assignment for tomorrow, all right? Best ones we'll read up on the air. Big thanks to everybody for hitting us up with some text for your Grind My Gears Tuesdays and such. So love it when you guys chime in and contribute and participate with the program and that. So keep that coming, all right? Keep it on coming. So we'll hit that. Hopefully, we'll preview a little Badger game tomorrow too, the final game at the Kohl Center for the regular season. So, and then Bucks going to be at it, going up against the Atlanta Hawks tomorrow too. It's going to be a busy day tomorrow. Brewers going to be going up against the Cubs in spring training. Bucks game, Badger game, and then we're inching closer and closer to the new league year in the NFL. Maybe when we're back on tomorrow morning, we'll have some Packers roster moves and such, but maybe don't hold your breath too much for that one. But if we do, hey, we'll obviously chat a little bit about it as well. So, all right, there is your shot clock. Have a good rest of your day. Same place, same time tomorrow morning. Best of luck to all of the high school boys basketball teams that will begin their playoff journey tonight. Best of luck to everybody out there. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., same place, same time. Chat with you then.